stop the street short border, walked into the hospital in New Mexico, screaming they're after me because of this book. The Franklin cover-up, he waved leading to his grave. He was given drugs by the doctors.
Welcome to DarkDox Digest 2020 from the lockdown. We are here in Central Florida with Greg and Brendan from Resisted Grove in California. Whoa, that's confusing. It was playing back from the YouTube. Yes, so that was our attempt at doing a live intro. And say hi, everybody.
Hey there, how's it going? We are live.
All right, so that's right. We are live worldwide. Thanks for tuning in. And we haven't done this in a while. Life has been crazy. This whole COVID thing's been going on. We're going to talk about. This episode is called Social Discontent for multiple reasons. Because we are having protests worldwide, and especially here in the United States. Because of this lockdown, people are sick of it. They want to go back. They don't believe that this is a real threat, no more than the seasonal flu every year. If you guys have been tuning into DarkDox.com, hey Ruby Gypsy, hey Cats and Kittens, and have you guys been watching that Tiger King?
I haven't.
No.
I feel like I have because everybody's been talking about
you
it
guys are
so
living
much.
on an island. Yeah, it's very entertaining. It was number one on Netflix for quite a while. It got bumped out of number one to number two slot today because of Despicable Me. For some reason, people are watching Despicable Me right now. But Carol Baskin, that bitch Carol Baskin down in Florida, she would always say hello cats and kittens. So. In fact, Tom Hanks, when he hosted Saturday Night Live this past Saturday, he started the whole show like that, and it was a total fail. So I was kind of alluding to that. Also, Adam Curry from No Agenda, he started a couple episodes ago with that. So I thought I'd jump in on all of that. Well, this is a crazy meta thing,
yeah.
Because it's picking up my. I'm looking at the video, looking at the video, looking at the video. So I'm going to switch over to the DarkDox tab.
There we go.
Because we are going to be talking about Out of Shadows as well, Pizzagate, MK Ultra, Mockingbird, Hollywood Programming, film that came out last week, and it has caught the president's attention along with a lot of people, and it calls that this is like the best documentary on this pedogate human trafficking ordeal yet. And the reason for that is because it ties everything together finally. You had the Pizzagate 4-part miniseries that we had at DarkDox.com from the Black Banners, but a lot of people didn't like that one because it has a bunch of Arabic scrolling across the bottom and stuff from the Quran. So of course all the QAnon Christians and stuff are like, that's a bunch of Mujahideen, Al Qaeda stuff. They don't get it, but so they questioned where it's coming from. This film, however, I feel is a lot more impactful because it comes from a stuntman that worked on Batman Forever and a lot of major motion pictures in Hollywood. He's an insider. And he's talking to other, people that were insiders, people that were part of the White House press correspondents and Fox News and stuff that have been blacklisted by the mainstream media for talking about Pizzagate and talking about John Podesta and the Clinton Foundation and human trafficking and how there's a lot of hardcore evidence. And why are we talking about, Rainn Wilson from The Office and all of his weird pedophile tweets and people like Patton Oswalt and many other Hollywood and DC people that are, just kind of casually joking about eating babies and drinking blood and doing all these really gross demonic things. Um, and again, this episode is called Social Discontent because, we have all been, we've all heard about social distancing and how we're all supposed to stay away from each other. And it's interesting that they chose the term social distancing and not physical distancing because they actually want us to be disconnected. And when I say they, I'm talking, of course, about the deep state. I'm talking about the people behind the curtain, not necessarily Trump. I like a lot of the things he's doing right now. I stay very dubious, very skeptical about what's going on because, we've just been burned so many times before. But in addition, there's a lot of social discontent going on social media right now because, of course, people are divided about COVID and everything and arguing about whether or not COVID is real or not. But more than that, we have seen an influx in child pornography, hardcore. I'm talking about kids having sex with adults, kids having sex with each other, uncensored. I mean, worse than we've ever seen. We've been doing this for over 10 years, and it's full-on pornography with children on these social media profiles and groups. They're soliciting, they're asking for more videos, they're saying to subscribe to them on TikTok, to go to their websites. And more than ever, what's been happening this past week with DarkDox.com in particular is that they are actually logging us out of our account when we try to report it to Facebook. And then we have to change our password, prove that we are ourselves, and say all of these things in order to get access back into our account. Myself and several others, our internet, our 4G on our phones actually stopped working for 10 minutes, all of us, not 9, not 11, 10 minutes, all of us. And this happened to. We have print screens and all kinds of stuff to prove this. And we thought that was really interesting that the Facebook app, which now, I actually deleted the Facebook app and I was using it on the DuckDuckGo browser, which is a nice secure browser. You can very easily delete your history, clear your cookies and all that stuff. And yeah, the most recent Android update on my LG phone, once it was done, it was like a required update, had to do it, couldn't opt out of it. It took forever. When it came back up, Facebook was integrated into the Android system, and you can't delete it. You can't go into the system settings and remove it. Messenger and Facebook are just permanently on my phone now, and I thought that was interesting that after all that happened, now that we're doing what we've always been doing with reporting these child pornography and human trafficking pages, that they actually cut my 4G off of my phone for 10 minutes, and I took that as a threat. I took that as a warning that, like, we're doing something we're not supposed to be doing, and they haven't done it since, but now when you try to report it, it just goes to the little radio tower sign, which I think is also a funny sign, for loss of internet, while everyone's complaining about with the 5G situation right now, and people are literally burning down these 5G towers all across the United Kingdom and worldwide. In fact, there was an article from a UK source, I think it was sun.co.uk last week, where the government and the telecom companies are begging people to stop burning down the 5G towers, specifically conspiracy theorists. But I digress. So what we've been doing, and that's what this article, this press release from DarkDox.com is about. DarkDox is fighting hard to remove child pornography from social media for good. We've been reporting it to report.iwf.org.uk/en/report. That's the direct link you can get from darkdocs.com. Also, report.cybertip.org, where you can anonymously report these pages. And they actually got back to me pretty quickly on the email with like specifics of how many photos were directly in violation of the local laws and how they're going to be reporting it. So I thought that was a pretty good service. I'm pretty happy with it. We have gotten several of these pages pulled, but I'd say a good 80% of the over 100 that we have come across in this past week are still up. You can still see hardcore child pornography on Facebook right now. And there's hundreds, 700, 800 likes, hearts, comments, ooh baby, dancing animated GIF emojis doing with like teddy bears doing humping motions and things like that. And a lot of them are in Arabic, are in different languages. They seem like they might be Nigerian or South American. A lot of different groups and different regions of the world. And I think what's happening is why they're staying up is because their local law enforcement doesn't care. And in places like the Middle East and stuff, pedophilia is totally legal. And you have child brides and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very complicated thing. I would like us to continue to fight and expose this, and because Facebook is based here in the U.S., Twitter is based here in the U.S. There's no reason for these U.S.-based companies to be trafficking in all of this kind of illegal stuff. That it's illegal here anyway. So there's no reason why people in the U.S. should be able to see any of this stuff. So that's what we've been up to during this quarantine. We've been kind of just like, going through all these pages. It's frankly exhausting and sickening. I've had to take more showers. You feel gross. I mean, because you have to verify that there's actually something illegal going on, before you report something, or else you're getting a bunch of false positives, and that gums up the works as well. So, I have to yep, that was an ass. Yep, that was a kid's dick. Then you have to report it. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of people don't want to see this at all, don't want to hear it at all, don't want to think about it, don't want to, know it exists. So they end up reporting us for print screening and sharing this stuff before it gets taken down, or else, if we don't, we're conspiracy theorists, and that's not really happening. You don't have any proof. What are you talking about? So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. But that's been my week pretty much, looking into all this stuff, contacting people, reporting profiles. What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, I saw some of those. I reported them. Fucking horrible.
I don't know how you guys can watch that. I think that's a really good point. It's hard to watch, and it does take a strong person. I don't think everybody can. I know for me it's very hard. It is a trigger, and for some people that have had family members that have gone through that type of stuff, it is very hard. So I am glad that somebody like Christian, a really good person, is actually on top of that. And like you said, you've been on top of that for a long, long time. So I just hope that you be patient with the people that kind of freak out. They don't want to hear it. They don't know that it's going on. Or someone like me who knows that stuff is going on. But man, it's hard for me to look at that stuff.
Absolutely, it is very it's very touchy. It's very sensitive, and I'm a victim of sexual abuse. People like Emmy Frost that has been on the show a bunch, that she's throwing down so hard right now. The things that she has been through in her life, most people can't even imagine. And I think what's going on here is you have people that have been sheltered, and they haven't really seen a lot of these things, and I've noticed the trends ever since I've been a truther since 2001, that people have a disposition, if they're not awake at all, to shoot the messenger. And when we were on the street corners protesting for 9/11 Truth, people would want to beat us up like we took down the World Trade Center, and it's that you just want to fight the nearest, like we're the ones bringing it to your attention. So I can understand to some people how like you're the bad guy because like my day was going just fine until you threw this in my face kind of situation. And that's what's happening on social media, where they're just scrolling through looking for happy memes, and then there's a picture of a naked kid getting molested, and I get it, but what I really want to tell those people is that you have to understand that is happening, has been happening, and will continue to happen unless people like us are we're we're cleaning up the web. We are the ones with the comb getting all the lice out of your kid's hair. If you just, I don't want that, they're gross. I don't want to look at the lice in my kid's hair. They're going to keep breeding. They're going to keep going, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But what you have to do is you have to face it. You have to eradicate it. And I find that a lot of people that are doing what I do are victims of sexual abuse. Or they had family members or this and that. And once you go through some of that stuff, you do psychologically start to develop a coping mechanism of compartmentalization. And I'm able to see, small bits of horrible things. Back when we were doing the Federal Jack stuff and exposing, 9/11 and JFK assassination, false flags and things like that. I had a friend, James Ball, who's been on the show, and he ran a website called terroristmedia.com. And this was where, when you saw the Saddam Hussein hanging video, it had the terrorist media watermark on CNN. He was the front line. He was YouTube for terrorists. Terrorists would go on his site, and the NSA, the FBI visited him. He was 16 years old when he was running the site, and he would actually download all this stuff as evidence and burn DVDs, and he had a whole collection, I have some of them, of beheadings and just the most disgusting, horrible terrorist stuff you could ever imagine. And yeah, at first it was very upsetting, it was very traumatizing, and of course, now you're looking at clips from Out of Shadows with, people that are being given LSD for trauma-based mind control under MK Ultra, the CIA program back in the 60s. And what you end up developing, the human brain develops compartmentalization. And some people go a bit further, and that's how you get dissociative disorders. Some call, some aspects of it maybe multiple personality disorder and things like that. But pretty much, I'm able to, in some ways, shut off my emotions when I'm working, and I'm able to, see things, verify, and move forward. And then when you see enough of it, we've talked about, Brendan and I have talked about it on DarkDox Digest before. Self-care is really important, and I really, I can't stop talking about this. I won't stop, reminding people that want to get involved, want to do something, want to be the change that they want to see in the world. You have to take care of yourself. I have a lot of hobbies. Sacred Owls is a good outlet for me to vent my frustrations through music. And being on stage and getting sweaty and jumping around and playing rock and roll while spreading the truth is really important. I have a garden. I take care of plants. We just got rats and we're breeding them, and they're amazing, strange, highly intelligent things, and they're very sweet. So taking care of animals really helps. Definitely seeking a relationship with somebody and having an intimate relationship and being able to shut off all of these things while you're being, sexual and intimate with a partner is very important. Having a family, I have a son, being able to, hang out with him and, turn all of this off entirely. And I'm 36 years old, and I'm still learning how to do it. It's a skill, and like every skill, you have to practice it. And not a lot of people have a lot of self-control, and some people have, like pedophilia, hebephilia, and all of these urges and stuff. It is a spectrum of the human mind, and it is a mental illness, in my opinion. And I think it's very similar to the spectrum of homosexuality, transgender, genderqueer, all of that stuff as well. And I'm not saying necessarily that homosexuality is mental disorder. I know some people in the movement, that's debatable. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that these are all aspects of the human mind that are, we're just all wired very differently, and we have to, you can't just treat everyone the same, and you can't treat yourself. You can't just read a book and be like, oh, that's how you do that. Like, no, like the human mind is a mystery, even to specialists, to psychologists, psychiatrists, scientists. And I mean, you really have to figure out what's best for you. If it's staying the hell away from all of this stuff and just hoping it goes away, that's you. But if you feel like you're a little bit stronger than that and that you can actually make a change like we're doing with this broadcast, with DarkDox.com and sharing all of these videos, whatever within your comfort zone, and I don't even want to say that, whatever's like not going to break you. Because I'm not going to lie, like, I've been through a lot of adversity doing a lot of this stuff, that my life would have been a lot easier if I just like, that's fake news. Now I watched CNN, they said Pizzagate's fake news, and I can just, go about my life and ridicule conspiracy theorists because they remind me of what I could have been and what, I am not. I'm a weakling. I cannot do that. And I'm not necessarily knocking them for that, but I find it very disheartening, and I want to knock them for it, when they come at me like I'm doing something wrong. Like I had some guy, that was like taking pictures of the Bohemian Grove you guys met and stuff on social media, that just messaged me out of the blue and said, you should just kill yourself. Do us all a favor and kill yourself. And it's like every now and then you get these people, they have these enlarged amygdalas, and they're just so afraid, and they hate themselves. They hate what they can't do. They hate that maybe they want to have sex with kids. I don't know. Everyone's a little different. They all have their own problems. But, we're trying to make this go away. We're trying to make these people accountable. We're trying to make these people go behind bars. I'd like the death penalty our song Pedophile Hunter Rock and Roll is very, basically written that it's our policy, our agenda, that it's one thing to think about it, but if you ever cross that line and have sex with a kid or try to sexually molest a child, in my opinion, once you have hard proof, beyond a shadow of the doubt that yes, you did that, yes, you tried to do that, it's the death penalty, because you already crossed that line. You already ruined that child's life. You turned him into like a Corey Feldman. You turned him into a Paul Bonacci, a Troy Boner, an Alicia Owens, and there's a chance that they might then take their rage and hostility and aggression out when they become an adult and become a pedophile. And then it keeps going and going like a virus. Everyone's so worried, please stay at home because of COVID-19. But yet they don't want to kill pedophiles when that is just as contagious, if not more, than one of these viruses.
Hey, Christian?
Yep.
We had a question here from Ruby. She wants to know if you were saying, if she heard you correctly, that you were a survivor of MK Ultra?
No, we were talking about that. We were watching right now on the screen capture scenes of MK Ultra from the documentary Out of Shadows, which is available for download from DarkDox.com. Came out last week. That covers Pizzagate and all of these things. I am not an MK Ultra that I know of. That's the thing about MK Ultra, is that some of the, if you look at the Manchurian Candidate and Monarch programming and all of that kind of stuff, sex kitten programming, you see people like in Hollywood where they might not even know that they've been programmed, but they were, they got someone drugged them, got them really drunk and messed up, and then did things to them, trauma-based mind control, while they were under the influence of narcotics like LSD, peyote. They use all kinds of different compounds. To my knowledge, I am not an MK Ultra victim, but I would say to a certain extent we all are, because of the media, because of films. How many films have you seen where someone is killing someone or raping someone or something just really... all of that is programming, and it is desensitizing you to violence, sexual violence, all kinds of depravity, satanic ritual abuse, etc. So I'd say to a certain extent we all are, but no, what I was talking about myself is, and I call myself like a light victim. When I was 17 years old, I was working for a catering company, and the guy running the thing, we'd have late nights, we'd be doing weddings and this and that. We'd all like kind of sleep over at his place because we'd have to get up at like 5 in the morning and load the trucks for like the next day's job and stuff. And he was gay, and he lived with his fiance, and the fiance was like a really nice guy. Never tried to take advantage of me, but the owner of the company, his fiance. When I was sleeping, we were drinking wine after work, hanging out. We passed out on the couch and whatever. And while I was sleeping, he did try to sexually molest me. He was like trying to take my pants off while I was sleeping on the couch. Kicked him in the face, probably broke several of his teeth, and ran out of the house. And that was the last I ever saw of the guy. But that is an underage sexual assault, and that on top of like what has happened to some of my siblings when they were children, because of their father, not my father. My mom got remarried, but I when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I was hearing very graphic, detailed stories of a sexual assault with children that my sister would tell me, because I was her brother, and she was messed up, and she was trying to kind of vent to me and maybe try to prepare me for the world's whatever. And so I was very upset at a very young age, knowing that adults are doing this to children. When I was 6 years old, and then my father died when I was 9. I had a lot of traumatic things that happened throughout my life, but I really believe that knowing that at 6 years old, and then what happened to me when I was 17, really kind of put me down this trajectory of the rabbit hole, in order to speak out against people that what really affected me was the first time I watched Conspiracy of Silence, and then read the Franklin cover-up, and heard about Paul Benassi, Troy Boner, Alicia Owens, and satanic ritual abuse of children, and how the FBI put gag orders on these children, these teenagers, that they were lying. If you continue to keep that narrative, it's perjury, and so they were shut down. And since then, that's been the trend, where if anyone comes out saying that like I was sexually molested as a child, a lot of adults just like simply, I don't believe that, really. You're just trying to get attention, da da da. Like, I believe victims. And it's like, yeah, sure, sometimes a kid might lie. It happens. Sure, anything's possible. Nothing's absolute. But I tend to believe, what kid, unless they are, they have a mental disorder and like they're kind of twisted themselves, what kid would want to derail their happy childhood to make up such a nasty story unless something was going wrong? Whether or not it was exactly what they were saying or not, something's going on, and it at least needs to be investigated. You at least need to cross-examine the person that they're accusing, and you need to try your best to get to the bottom of it. And I think that that's not happening, and for a number of reasons. And one of the main reasons is because a lot of times these adults are turning the other way because they're getting paid to sell their children into slavery, into human trafficking. You have people in Hollywood and in politics that will allow Joe Biden to grope their child so they might get a cabinet position. They might let this Hollywood producer have sex with their child so that they might become a child star, and then they can make a lot of money off of them. Or people like Katy Perry or Britney Spears, when they were underage, letting the executives of these music companies have sex with their children, again, so they can make them into a star, so the parents can make money. And you're seeing the backlash of a lot of that, and the results of this kind of trauma-based mind control, MK Ultra kind of. Because what is MK Ultra, and why do we have it? Because we want to be able to control people and get them to do whatever we want them to do, so they don't go off message, so they can continue to influence young minds that you know pyramids are cool, the occult is cool, Satanism is cool. Yeah, so what if we're eating human flesh at this restaurant? All the trendy art people are doing it. What's the big deal? Why are you such a prude? And this it's all programming to normalize deviancy, the occult, and the things that these people at the top are into. They love this stuff because once you've done everything, once you have all the money, you've skydived, you've traveled the world, you've done all these things. They want the new rush. They want like what the next big thing because you build a tolerance to you know to the high life, to high society. The movie Hostel and then all of the sequels is a good example of that, where they'll have people come in these secret societies, these groups, these clubs, where you can just blow off some steam and torture a child and get away with it and not worry about it. And I think that's what Jeffrey Epstein's island was all about, where these high society people are like, yeah, come to my island. You're into boys, you're into this or that. You want to do some drugs. You want to be in a safe space to do all that stuff, where the media is not looking at you and you won't get caught by law enforcement. Come over here. But according to Epstein's ties to the Mossad and intelligence agencies and how there was cameras in every room, he was then using it for blackmail, just like they do at the Bohemian Grove, just like they do at all of these clubs, the Bavarian Groves in Germany. And this is nothing new. It's cloak and dagger stuff. If you've been listening to William Cooper or read Behold a Pale Horse, I definitely encourage everyone. I was actually on there yesterday, and there's just so much information on all of this stuff that, I mean, I'm only one guy that runs DarkDox.com, and I make all the thumbnails, I upload all this stuff to the server. If you just go to houroftetime.com, that's houroftetime.com, that is William Cooper's database of all of his books on the occult, the Order of the Golden Dawn, all the Freemasons, the Bohemian Grove, all of these things. He has just archives and archives of all kinds of stuff. MK Ultra, the CIA, false flags, also survival stuff, aquaculture, how to go off the grid, telecommunications, ham radio, you name it. I mean, this is like a treasure trove of information. And DarkDox.com is just the tip of the iceberg. It's what I've had time to be like, this is the most important stuff. Let me make a thumbnail for it and upload it to my server so you guys can download it easily in like a kind of Netflix style, kind of interface. But there's just so much. There's so much to learn. I've only read about maybe 1% of all of this stuff. But yet that 1%, there's a lot there. I mean, there's so much information on all of this stuff and so much to learn.
Christian, I was asking a question about Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think that everybody who went to his place, do you think that they all knew something was going on? Or do you think it's possible that there were some people, at least some people that were there that had no idea of some of the stuff that was going on? And not to say not prostitution or anything like that, but some of the rapes and some of the more crazier stuff that we do here.
I think, like everything, there's definitely a level of compartmentalization that I'm sure was occurring. But I think anybody that went to that island and got on the Lolita Express was suffering from some kind of cognitive dissonance. Yeah, sure, prostitutes. Yeah, sure, some cocaine. What's the big deal? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's highly unlikely when you have people like John McCain's daughter that, straight up said in Congress that we all knew about Jeffrey Epstein. We all knew about the underage prostitution and what was going on there, but we were all too scared to say anything about it. Oh, was it his wife? I thought it was his daughter.
Yeah.
His daughter's on the news, a correspondent or something. Maybe that's why I got confused. So yeah, there you go. His wife was the one that said that. I saw that video for the first time like last week. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Hollywood just kind of like a lot of the people that get mad at me for outing pedophiles, shooting the messenger. I'm sure a lot of Hollywood just willfully turns the other cheek and looks the other way because they know that if they speak out against people like Weinstein and Epstein, they're going to lose their job. They're going to become like Corey Feldman and like he's not in movies anymore. It's just that simple. You don't get that call back when you audition. You get dropped by that agent, and that's it. You're done. You get blacklisted from Hollywood. Hollywood it's satanic. It's pedophilia. It's occult ritual abuse. It's murder. It's eating people. It's adrenochrome. It's all of that stuff. And they admit it. And then when we call them out on Twitter, they back off. They jump off of Twitter. And yeah, you look at the names of the people on the Lolita Express, like Will Smith, Robert Downey Jr., John Cusack. It's heartbreaking, because I grew up. We all grew up watching their films, and they almost feel like a part of your family. And then to find out that they're in any way adjacent to any of this stuff, I mean, it tarnishes everything about what they do. And then when you look, it wakes you up, and you start to look further into the other things that they do in life, and you start to question the things that they say, like, why is his daughter wearing a pizza T-shirt? Why, and it almost makes you feel a little crazy that like, you have to remind yourself, like, yeah, there are some things in life that are coincidence, but then any good CIA agent will tell you there's no such thing as a coincidence when it comes to things that are on the television and films. Out of Shadows goes into great detail with a former CIA agent that the CIA has been behind Hollywood, Disney, and all of these media outlets.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate for free. There are 2 participants in the conference.
The core columns pull down into themselves. So again, like, and then you have people that are like, oh yeah, research is just watching a YouTube video. It's like, no. It's like we are on archive.org, CIA.gov, DOD.gov. We're on .mils all the time. That's where we get our content. We get it directly from the source. Oh, well, what if they're lying? Well, then that's a whole conspiracy there on how the government is, planting false documents out, for Freedom of Information Act requests. And I'm sure that some of that stuff does go on, but, like, you have to go off of something, but you also have to keep an open mind that, like, I might be wrong about a lot of things, but, like, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen to, flat earthers. I'm willing to listen to people talking about 5G and COVID and all of these things because I don't know. I wasn't there. So, if you have some kind of intel, I need to listen to the disinformation and what I think might be solid information, the mainstream narrative. What are they saying on Fox versus MSNBC versus RT versus BBC versus PBS? Who owns all of those organizations? And it's just an endless stream of information. You have to constantly fact check and re-fact check. And then you have like fact check websites like PolitiFact and Snopes, which I have proven have lied about things, or they say something's false, but only because, like, oh, Trump said 1 million something happened, but fact check false. because it was actually 999,999. It's like, okay, you're really ant fucking here. And that's how people just won't go past the headline. They won't go past the thumbnail image of fact check false, and then that's it. You have to go further. You have to continue to debunk the debunkers that are debunking the debunkers. And then still, you have to be humble and be like, even after all that work, I might have still been duped, and just keep an open mind. And I think that's really what has kept me sane and kept things kind of interesting and even keeled. Because the moment you are like, this is absolute fact and that's it, you just became one of them. You have closed your mind, and anything new that comes along, you're just not going to believe it, or you're going to believe it entirely. And I actually did a whole lecture series for years called Defragmenting Polar Mindset. And it talks about how duality and the concept of duality is so hardwired into the human brain, because we have males and we have females. There's night, there's day, there's the moon, there's the sun, there's the ocean, it's wet, then there's the earth, it's dry. There's fire, and then there's water. We have so many dualities in nature that it's natural that, we've made these religions. I mean, I know there's a lot of Christians, so I'm not going to say we made Christianity. Some people think we do. I think we did. But, I have a lot of respect for anyone. But you have people, Christianity is just one of many religions. There's, the Egyptians, there's the Muslims, there's the Jews. But there's always, Horus, and then there's Set. There's the good, there's the evil, there's the demons, there's the angels. And so what all of this has done to the human brain is that it's either yes or no. And I've had people come to me in debates and stuff did this happen or did this not happen? It's it's complicated. And they don't like that answer, that some of that is true, some of that, here's why they thought that, here's why this group thought that, but actually it was this COINTELPRO group that was spreading this disinformation through this campaign, and the reason for that was because this guy was funding this, that was trying to push this agenda. And that's how history works. History is a bunch of individuals that are playing telephone, and every time you tell a story, it gets weirder and weirder and doesn't make any sense. And then you have offshoots of that, that's a prophet now, and the King James version of the Bible, if you read into how they, it's not a translation of the original Bible, it's kind of like an interpretation, and some of the things don't really translate into the different languages, so there's a lot of confusion. And then that's why you have all these different sects of Christianity, Catholicism, and all the religions. There's, because no one can agree on all these things, because nothing is absolute. And everything is very complicated. So, I mean, that's, what it comes down to is all of this stuff is you have to just kind of keep an open mind and, consider the absurd sometimes. And at least for a couple minutes, hear out a flat earther, and don't just be like, you're stupid. You're retarded. You're COINTELPRO. Because we're not going to get anywhere. Right now, we have billions of people on the earth, and probably millions of different beliefs about trillions of different things. So no one can agree on anything. But what I'm the one ray of light that I really enjoy is right now with these protests about the lockdowns and how people want to get back to regular life, and they don't believe in this stuff. They don't believe in COVID. Because you have Democrats and you have Republicans and you have independents and a bunch of people getting together. It's mostly Trump people, but you do have other people that are starting to wake up and kind of say we can be equal and different and work together for a common goal. And I think this COVID thing was a total backfire for the World Health Organization, the New World Order, the globalists, Bill Gates, because they really thought that we would all just bend over, get on our knees, and just be slaves and starve to death while the world economy crashed. But here we are, 3 weeks into it, 4 weeks into it, and people are done. They are so done. They're ready to just they're willing to if this thing is real, they're like, fuck it, I'll get COVID, I'll get coronavirus, and I'll take a bunch of vitamin C and zinc and get better. Me myself, I think it's fake, but yeah, we bought 3 pounds of powder vitamin C, and we took a bunch of zinc, and we're taking daily regimens to keep our immune system high. We're getting vitamin D from sunlight. We're exercising, but we are also practicing social distancing because we're careful people, and these people are evil enough to release something that will kill millions of people. It's in the Georgia Guidestones that they only want 6.66% of the world's population, as it is right now, which is a fun number, to survive the world. They do not believe that these billions of people on the earth right now is sustainable. They want to be able to have just 500 million people roaming the earth, the elites, and that's it. They think that the only way that they can do what they want and not and just have their slaves and have sex with kids and be left alone is by killing 90 to like 96% of the world's population. And because there's enough of us to kill them. There's enough of us to stop them. And I honestly do believe, based on the research that I've seen about the 5G and about how Elon Musk is putting all of these satellites into orbit, that the 4G signal is very strong, and it affects different people in different ways, and it has given people cancer. Cell phones have been carcinogenic since they came out, and 5G is just that much stronger. And not just that, but with so many towers at such a short distance from one another, they can triangulate. They can, they can make the RFID chip happen now, because, right now you have to have like a big smartphone in your pocket with the GPS, and all that. But with the 5G, you can have the smart dust and these small chips with a lot less power, doing much higher frequency triangulation. More than that, what they talk about in the David Icke interview is at 60 hertz, you can actually cut off the oxygen supply to the human body. So now if they can triangulate you and cut off the oxygen, I mean, they can just straight up give people heart attacks. Because that's how it will show up when you get to the hospital. Your heart will stop, because there's no oxygen, and so, and again, I mean, I'm not 100% on board, but the science checks out. The guy who came out with the COVID-19 tests said not to use it for this because it actually is picking up on genetic material that is in a lot of people. They're not sick, and that's why they're asymptomatic. But, like, I'm afraid if I took the test, I might have it, and then they're going to have to do all kinds of stuff and force the vaccination. I am an I'm a proud anti-vaxxer. I will not take any vaccine, not because I don't believe in the concept of vaccines. I do. It makes sense. You have a dead virus and a live virus, and you build immunity. I get it. I don't trust these people that are making these vaccines. I don't trust Bill Gates because he hangs out with Marina Abramovich, and they just came out with that Microsoft commercial where they're literally summoning her in VR so she can be immortal. And of course, I mean, not of course, I'm very happy that they actually had to take the video down because there was thousands and thousands of people giving it the thumbs down, and the comments had to be turned off because people were hashtag Pizzagate, hashtag spirit cooking. Look into spirit cooking if you haven't. Marina Abramovich, has these things where like they have cakes that look like people, and they're doing mock human sacrifices and pretending to eat people. And I really do believe that they are eating people behind closed doors, and that's what like these cannibal clubs and stuff are about. And that's nothing new. They've been doing this in Germany for a long time, in other parts of the world, but it's starting to mainstream in New York and LA here in the U.S. You can look into that. And these are the people that I'm supposed to trust to take a vaccine from. Why is Bill Gates makes computers? He made an operating system, and he didn't even make it. He stole it from somebody. He is admittedly a high school dropout. He has no medical background. He has no medical degree. He's never taken any medical classes. Um, Yet he is supposed to be the person we talk to and believe about a vaccination and about disease. And also, he's not even an elected official. He's just some guy. He didn't get voted into office. Why is anyone even listening to him? I mean, it's just as absurd as me being on the news and telling people to take something. Like people that turn into this, they take it on faith based on the person that I am and everything I've put out there, just like him. But like, I have no standing and no reason to be on the news telling anyone what to do, and neither does Bill Gates.
You're absolutely right.
Didn't Bill Gates steal it from Xerox? I remember
Yeah.
I watched a great movie. I don't know how accurate it was. It was called Pirates of Silicon Valley, and I thought it was pretty good. Of course, I knew nothing about Steve Jobs, nothing about Bill Gates, but it was a good starting point, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't looked much into it. I heard that he took some stuff from IBM, and they were talking on the No Agenda show, noagendashow.com, a couple months ago about how one of the former like founders of Microsoft back in the early days, he was telling stories about how pretty much they had like Microsoft credit cards where they had a brothel pretty much on call, and they would have prostitutes come in and just like service the programmers and stuff, and that was like back in the 80s, and whatever you wanted. If you wanted, it's just like um, if you watch American Horror Story, Apocalypse, no, the one before that, Antichrist, or I forget, the one where it's like they introduce like the Antichrist character after the house or whatever. Um, they have pretty much like the techies that are using augmented reality and making taking the souls of people and making robots with like all the technocratic kind of transhumanism stuff. There's a lot of truth in American Horror Story. It's gross, it's gory. There's like, some softcore porn, but like whatever, it is very entertaining and very well shot. Um, but there's a lot of truth if you actually watch the series. Again, it's definitely like a MK Ultra Mockingbird kind of talking point thing, because they're talking about how like these tech giants in Silicon Valley with like their plates of cocaine and their hookers and stuff are Satanists, and they go to the Church of Satan and do all these sacrifices and stuff in order to gain like the ultimate power. Like these people really do believe in the all-seeing eye, and by doing all of these like rituals and stuff, they actually are getting power with the kids and all of that stuff. But yeah, everybody that is involved in Silicon Valley and the tech community and everything that you see on TV, I'm going to go ahead and say like there's not a single honest person out there. I mean, the reason why they're there and they're on your TV screen is because they did something to get something dirty to get there. And Bill Gates is, one of the richest men in the world, one of the most powerful men in the world. He didn't get there by, sitting in front of a computer in a garage and coding Windows. Like, no. He got there by stealing the hard work of people that were staying up all night and drinking energy drinks and whatever else to make these things that we're using, and if they say anything about it, they might pay them off, they might just kill them, and yeah, and then to get to that next level, they join this organization, they have to do these dirty things, and that is how you gain power in this sick world. This world is controlled by Satanists, by pedophiles, by scumbags, and I honestly don't believe a single person that is on TV, including Trump. I mean, I I think that of course they're not equally as evil, but I don't like, that he had like those, I don't like his like party days, grab him by the pussy days, and hanging out with Epstein and stuff. And I mean, I really hope that the QAnon stuff is true. That all of that stuff he was just doing to kind of become an insider, get intel for for the resistance. I really hope so. I hope he wasn't just a scumbag that had sex with little girls and all of this stuff. That would be great. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised either. It's important to maintain a constitution of just like pretty much not being surprised by any of this stuff, and not really having full faith in anybody but yourself, and really like Gandhi said, just be the change that you want to see in the world. And who knows if Gandhi was even 100%? For him to be Martin Luther King and all these other saints. I don't know. I wasn't there. I mean, for all we know their names and know what they said and all these famous quotes and things that they did because they did all this sick stuff that you see on the screen right now with the spirit cooking and all these Satanists. I don't know. But it's really important that you live the best life. You live an honest life. You take care of your kids and your family, and try not to get too drunk. Try not yourself into a compromising position. I don't want to name names, but someone really big in the truth community. I just had a phone call with a really close friend of mine that, brother, we go back, to middle school. And he said, like, when he came into town several years ago, this guy, who everyone knows who this guy is, he runs one of the biggest truth movements worldwide that we've ever seen. And there he was on South Beach, drunk, stumbling into a gay bar with like these two people that clearly seem like demons. And, who knows what they did to him or what they made him do when he was fucked up. You have to keep your wits about you. You have to keep your internal constitution and your true north. Because at any point, once you become, known and people... I have to be really careful. I'm in a rock band. We go travel in the country and we play in bars. We get drink tickets. I have to make sure no one's drugging my drink. No one's inviting me over to an after party where bad things are happening and then they got me on video and then that's it. It's either I do what they say or they release that video. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing when people are just, they'll say one thing one day and seem like really awesome, and the next thing you know, they have an all-seeing eye T-shirt, and they're doing weird occult stuff, and they're tweeting weird pedophile stuff, like Rainn Wilson and Patton Oswalt and all of these Hollywood actors and things like that. You have to really be careful. Who's adjusting a microphone?
Sorry about that. I had a cough. Who
Uh,
was it? Who was it, Christian?
Yeah, call him out. Dox him.
Call him out.
Was it Jones?
Yeah. Oh no, because it's like
No, I'm
it's
just kidding.
still
I'm
hearsay,
just kidding. Yeah.
and honestly, it would really hurt the truth movement if I said it. So, and
What are your
it could have
thoughts on
happened. It
the?
could have happened to any of us. That's my point.
Yeah.
You're hanging out, you're having a good time, you're drinking wine, you're drinking, whatever. You must smoke some weed, whatever, and yeah, someone might slip some crack into the blunt. Someone might, put a roofie in your drink. Next thing you know, you're out of it. So again, it doesn't matter who it is. The point is that none of us are above it. We might be spiritually, we might be mentally and ethically, but when you're drunk, that's not you. They don't call it spirits for nothing. There's something else that happens to you when you're under the heavily under the influence. We're sitting here drinking wine on the podcast now. I'm not going to finish this bottle, or else I'm gonna start talking really funny. Um, but it's like you have to maintain balance, but you have to maintain control, and that's kind of the big message we're pushing right now, um, like with pedophile hunter rock and roll. Even if you do have the desire, you had a weird dream about something nefarious, or you kind of everyone wants to kind of explore the dark side, explore it's natural, it's human nature, but like you have to maintain it, because once you go dark, I mean, when you can't you don't go back. It's like they say, once you go black, you can't go back. Once you go black magic, that's it. You tarnished your soul. You've done it. Like, yeah, you can never do it again, and do whatever you can to speak out against it and help people that it happened to, and that all helps, but you've been damaged. And it's even more damaging when you did it. Like, not someone did it to you, but like where you, with your own free will, did something to destroy someone else's life like that. So, just be careful. Don't party too hard. Careful who you hang out with.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Only good people. You mentioned the
And it
truth
is important
movement.
it
Do
is
you?
important to, if you're an investigator,
Mhm.
if you're a reporter, you're a truth seeker, sometimes you do have to, like, go undercover, and that's a very dangerous game. I've done it, like, just like, they're doing what at this party? Can I get an invite? We've talked about it, like, can any of us, like, get a job at the Bohemian Grove? And
Nope.
Probably not
yeah,
this year
I mean,
since they're shut down.
I have an owl buster on my arm, and I have like multiple anti-Bohemian Grove tattoos, so I would get caught instantly. Like I would be killed. They'd kill me. But like, yeah, I mean, that's how we get intel. We have insiders that are former employees and former members' children, that they've given us like really awesome intel. Some of the stuff on DarkDox.com came from them, and like Brendan buys the books on eBay. By buying the book on eBay, he bought them from a former member to remain anonymous. Like, that's how you get it. They're not in circulation. It's nothing you can get from like the Library of Congress. This stuff is all like, it doesn't exist, but like, yet they're leather-bound, hardcover, gold leaf, very gorgeous books. And that
Audiobooks.
three CD set. I
Yeah.
mean, that is a that's probably one of like my biggest treasures, honestly, on DarkDox, that you gave us when we met in California. If you go to darkdox.com, you can click on the annals, the sounds of Bohemia in the audio section, and we ripped into MP3 the 3 CD set, with all kinds of skits and music, and we're using it for all kinds of stuff. We're using it for documentaries we're working on, and what's great is that they can't do anything about it because it's not copywritten, because they're a secret society. It's not even supposed to exist. So, I mean, granted, we're protected by the fair use doctrine, which you should look into if you're interested in syndicating and sharing copyrighted material. You are protected under the fair use doctrine if you're not doing it for profit, and you're doing it for research. It does become part of the public domain at that point. So that is something, an act of Congress that we are protected under, and that's how we're able to distribute copyrighted material without the consent of the creators, like things like the Teddy Bear's Picnic. Now, if we try to upload it to YouTube, that's a private corporation, which they reserve the right to ban you and do whatever, pull the material for whatever reason. But under those grounds, it'd be under copyright. We tried to, and that's how we have the My Truth doc, the Rape of Two Corys, the Corey Feldman documentary that he live streamed. I paid Corey Feldman $20 out of my own pocket to watch that thing, to syndicate it, and I used screen capture software because they weren't, I guess, smart enough to do what Netflix does, which makes your screen black when you try to screen capture something. But yeah, so I was able to get that and then release it to all you guys without permission. We tried to upload it to YouTube, it got pulled. We tried to upload it to Facebook, and Facebook is a lot more lenient, and I'm not kind of surprised. Like for example, the David Icke interview from London Real, it got pulled by copyright from London Real, but when we tried to upload it to Facebook, it worked. So it seems like Facebook's a lot more relaxed when it comes to copyright, or maybe they just might be overwhelmed with so much stuff going on that they actually have to have some. It's not algorithmic like YouTube. Uh, it's interesting seeing like what gets banned, what doesn't get banned on what social media platform. Um, but yeah, you are protected by the fair use doctrine to syndicate stuff like that, as long as you don't have any ads, as long as you're not. You can accept donations, but you can't like try to sell it or like try to sell a subscription to see it. You can't have a paywall and things like that.
We've gotten some interesting information about the Grove this year, filtered down from some employees, and it's kind of been verified in some articles in the newspaper that it might be canceled for, because of COVID. It was supposed to be July 6th through the 26th, and as of March 10th, the Bohemian Club's been canceling all large rehearsals and their Tuesday and Thursday night performances and their gatherings on the weekly.
Yeah, I find that very interesting. A part of me wonders if they're. Where did you get this information?
Greg?
This was from a former someone who was associated with that, and what they're doing, and I think what we're also doing, is trying to verify that. So I believe there was maybe one news article that Brendan might have found, one public news article that kind of said that, but I think it was based on every year there's something that comes out where people can sign up to be workers, and whatever that information that came out, that's when it came out that they were telling the people that they had canceled it this year. But I can't really find any verifiable information. That person can't either. It was just something that they were told. So
I'm still seeing
Yeah.
job openings posted
Oh, okay.
for the main encampment and Spring Jinx, I believe, and they're still out there. I mean, but there was an ABC News story listing all all of the coastal California cities and in regions really, and listing what's been canceled. And halfway down the page was the Bohemian Club, and it's interesting out of all the things that they would put on the ABC News website.
Yeah, it definitely is. I wonder if that's. I'm just looking for this article that you're talking
Yeah, the reason why
about.
I ask is because I would put it in an even bigger, zoom in and look at what they're doing, because Bill Gates was talking at the Bohemian Grove Lakeside Chat several years ago, and I believe that one of two things: either yeah, sure, California's all shut down. It's not called Cuckafornia for nothing. Where everyone's afraid of everything in California. Not you guys. You guys are awesome. But like the majority is like a bunch of scaredy cat Democrats, and they're scared of their own shadow, and so it is possible that a lot of people from California and stuff won't show up to the Grove because of scare of COVID and this and that. But also, I mean, I find it very surprising that I'm watching the news and I'm watching all these things where you have like the governor's mansion and all this. They're not wearing masks. They're not staying 6 feet apart. They're not staying home. They're not wearing gloves. They're hugging people and talking and right next to each other, and so it's like I have to wonder, like, I mean, why isn't the president of the United States and senators and governors and all these people, why aren't they, if this thing was so real and so, you know, contagious and such a threat, wouldn't we be protecting the governors and the president and the executive branch and all these people that, like, they're really important. Like, when shit hits the fan in all the movies, you have, like, oh, get the president, get him on Air Force One, put him in the underground facility, get him out of here, nothing can happen to the president. Whereas the president's chilling, you know. He's like having, like, the press is coming in and out, giving him a hard time. He's standing next to Fauci. It's like, so I don't, it's one of the reasons why I don't buy this whole thing. And, if these Bohemians are the insiders and they're the ones that are propagating a lot of this stuff, I almost feel like they're putting out press releases that Bohemian Grove is going to be canceled so we don't show up. Not to sound arrogant. Not like, oh, it's all about us, but no, like, so, people, we've been now exposing the Grove for, years and years, and every year we're getting more and more people woken up to it. And then since DarkDox and, Resist the Grove and us, have had these allegiances, and we're talking with other groups, and, the Pizzagate people, the QAnon people, they all know about the Grove. And I think as things are heating up, they are a secret society. And they're not so secret for a long time, and it's getting less and less secret. So I would, if I was, running the Bohemian Grove, if I was one of the insiders that was planning these events, I would think it would be prudent to put out press releases that it's canceled. And I guarantee if you guys show up midsummer, like you do every year, there's going to be cars coming in and out of there.
Well, they're
Just
not
like
supposed
always.
to, though, right? So then, at that point, here, and I was talking.
That's when you know.
I was talking with one of our friends, Noah, and I was like, okay, so at that point, do we do we snitch on them, or what? What do we
Yes.
do?
Yes.
I can't do, I can't see myself doing that.
Why
They'll
not?
be violating the
That's all we
order.
do. All we do is snitch on them. Like,
But I'm not gonna
we are
snitch
open
on.
source Bohemian Grove snitches. That's what we do.
Hell
I
yeah.
don't want that label.
You're a snitch, Greg.
Pretty much. I mean, it just it puts me in a weird spot. This whole thing is so crazy, man. This whole thing is really it's a big test as a Christian. It is
Yeah.
a big test to really see where your faith lies. Now, if my church was open right now, I would be there. I don't care. I'm not worried about that. There are certain things that I will do, but I don't really go out that much either, so it's not that big of a difference for me. But that's gonna be a big question. If we go to the Grove and if we see 10 or more people and our government is telling us to snitch, it's just like, wait a minute. That's like, I got a big problem
Oh,
with
I get
with
it. No,
snitches.
the government's not telling us to snitch. I
No, they
mean,
are. They are. They're like, well, some
the
of them.
California government,
Oh, of
like
course.
the
Yeah,
governor.
yeah. They're like,
Yeah, you see, like, we're in Florida. I'm a Florida man. We don't get that shit. Florida,
You guys are
I mean,
like-
don't get me. Rick Scott is an asshole, but like, yeah, like we don't play like that. But the only stuff I see about, like, see something, say something about people outside, that's Democrat states like California and Michigan, and that's why Michigan had a huge protest yesterday. We don't do that shit, like, because you'd get shot over some shit like that. Like, that's not, you don't do that in Florida. But yeah, I see what you're saying now, that, like, yeah, you'd be snitching
It's weird.
because the government told you to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but, like, that's not why you're snitching to, prove the hypocrisy, like that. I'm not saying, like, call the governor that, oh, the Bohemian Grove. I'm saying, like, no, like, tell social media that, like, yeah, California's on lockdown yet, and they said that this was closed, yet here we are, and they're gonna have to arrest them before they arrest us because, like,
Because there's 10 or
they're not
more.
following it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so crazy.
And it's
This
not just that, but it's like it's 10 or more people, like, with the fire department and a 40-foot owl and fireworks and flames and all kinds of shit. It's practically like the fireworks show at Disney. And so for all that to be going on, like that's total bullshit. And then we know that, like, you guys are probably behind it, or at least like in cahoots. That is bullshit. Because, or else you'd be scared. These people are like scared of everything, and they're very protective of themselves.
I'm not so sure. I really think that it is partially that there is some. I know I have a good source that there is some truth to it, at least here. That there are people that are getting it. There are people that have it. The way that they're treating it is pretty crazy because they're not taking it seriously. They're not quarantining people. They're sending people home. They're giving people choices. So they're not taking it seriously. Personally, I don't think I think a lot of the hype, because I watch Trump's his press conferences every day. He's downplaying it. When he started downplaying it, and the media started overhyping it, that really stuck out to me, to where I was like, okay, I do believe that there is something serious here. I think it's more of a bio tack. I know a lot of people compare it to the flu. They compare it to all of these things. I don't really know if that's fair, and I'm still researching to understand all that. But if this thing can travel within us without us knowing it, if we can be cured without us even knowing it, some people die. You could have a husband who has it and his wife doesn't. Things like that. It just looks more to me like a bio attack. You have the whole patents, you have all of that stuff, you have Event 201.
Event 201.
Yeah, I mean, just all of these crazy stuff. So I'm just trying to, right now, I'm just trying to process everything, trying to collect as much data as I possibly can.
I mean, I'm sorry, you go ahead, Brendan. I've been talking a lot.
I've been monitoring this job application site for a while. I mean, they've had job applications up for a long time for the Grove and all that. I just went on there, and there's 2, and they're both for the club. I'm gonna put the link up in the comments here on YouTube.
When you say it's for the club, you're talking about the San Francisco headquarters club, like a job position.
Yes.
Right?
So everything that goes on at the Grove is practiced and rehearsed and centered and pushed through the club. It's
right.
It's the club.
That's their headquarters. That's where they do this stuff. Yeah.
I'm gonna have this up in 1 second.
Yeah, if you try to post it in the live chat, I think actually YouTube might block it. But if you post it in the comment, or if you give me a headline that I can search for, then I can try to pull it up here too.
Do you see it in the live chat?
I don't see it in the live chat, and I think that's because they just don't let they will only let me post links and stuff like that. So
that's nice.
So if you post it in Facebook in the Messenger, then I'll just copy and paste it into the chat.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. So I definitely want to look at that. That's important. Like we were saying, like Ruby was saying here, that the one that I found.
Guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just noticed before we go forward that the video on YouTube, it's done. It's only 37 minutes and 18 seconds.
I didn't want to stop you because you were doing so great, but we did have to. The first stream stopped, so we are on a second stream right now. But we are still live. So if you go back to my channel, you'll
why do you have any idea why it's stopping us like this?
My battery for some reason died. So. I'm
okay,
back.
So
I'm down to 2
I was just
batteries.
curious if it was like something we did or
No,
said. Or,
no, I don't think so.
Shared.
No. It's just a technical error on my part, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess when this is all done, like it's recording like one big video, like through the software, because I do want this whole thing uncut to be on DarkDox when we're done.
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely do that. Even if we
Okay,
have
chat
to
rooms as
splice the two videos into one. Yeah, we can get that done.
That involves rendering.
I can do that for you. Don't worry. I got you
That
back.
takes forever, especially with these long videos. Oh my
It's
god.
true.
It took
That's
like when I actually edited the rape of two Corys, which is a funny sentence.
It is.
But like, yeah, you know, because like it was like not exactly centered, and there was like like the player on the bottom and stuff. So like I edited it into like a good one,
Mhm.
and the thing took like 14 hours. It's like ah,
I don't know
but
what software
we
you're
do
using,
what it takes.
but I use this program called Cyberlink, and it has this like fast rendering thing, so that it usually only
Woo.
takes me about two hours, 3 hours, even if the video is like 6 or 7 hours long. So
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. Send me a link.
okay.
I'm using a ripped copy of Sony Vegas Pro from like a decade ago.
Oh, okay. That could partially be why too.
Yeah, yeah. It gets the job done, but yeah,
Sure.
and I'm
Yeah.
on a laptop, so it's like
That's where I'm at
slow.
now. I'm like I'm so glad I have multiple sources, or else we would be done
Yeah.
right now.
And with that being said, guys, I mean, it's like, we put a lot of work into all this stuff, and we have to buy things, and so if you want to donate to any of us, I'm sure all of Greg's listeners know how to donate to him. GregFernandezJr.com, he has a donate button. DarkDox.com has a donate button at the bottom of every page. It's PayPal info at darkdocs with an X.com. If you have Cash App Christian Coffins, Venmo Sacred Owls, it really helps us out because I'm not working. A lot of us aren't working, and we're doing this instead. But like we have bills, we have, we got to eat, and the more money we get from you guys, I mean, pretty much like any money I get, it's like, oh, sweet, like, I can spend 10 hours this week working on exposing Pedo Swim, which, is a documentary we've been working on to expose Adult Swim. Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, the creators of Rick and Morty, and all of their pedophile content, and that people aren't aware of. They get their kids are wearing Rick and Morty shirts, and they don't realize how sick that is. And we're working on. I'd like to start production on the Gray Stage documentary, which really needs to be a mini series. But again, in order for us to spend dozens of hours every day doing all this stuff, for truth to come out, we're we got bills, and we do as much on shoestring budgets or no money at all, and this is pretty much what you get. We'd like to have DarkDox Digest every day. We'd like to have a studio like InfoWars where we can not worry about the stream cut off because of a laptop battery that died, and like that's ridiculous. And InfoWars is good. They have their own thing going on, but they also have so many ads. For like buy Ultra Male Vitality and this and
Coronavirus
that. And
toothpaste.
every second, is the IRS calling you? Yeah. Like, oh my God, like I can't listen to it. I can't. And they have good stuff on there. But the ads are killing me. And
I
that's
haven't
why, like,
I haven't listened to them in years, to be honest
years,
with
right?
you.
It's actually really good these days. They got a lot of good people on every day, but it's like I have to just like turn it off for the ads, and
Do they still have
it's.
David Knight on there? Is he still doing a show on there? Do you know?
I think so. They
Yeah,
got a
'cause
lot
he
of
was
people. They
the
got a lot of
best.
new faces. They got a lot of people that have been around. I think Alex Jones' son has a show now.
Nice.
Of course, Paul Joseph Watson's still around.
Schroyer,
and,
what's that guy's name? Schroyer. That guy's
yeah,
awesome.
Schroyer. He's
Yeah,
still.
he's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean, they do good stuff. But again, like, it's every 5 minutes. Oh, we got to cut the break. Like, it's like. Like I can't do. I won't do that.
Yeah.
Even if the sponsors are cool. Because like, I mean, it's just.
There's
It's
more
Mockingbird,
creative
dude.
way. Yeah, there's more creative ways they could do But
Well, that's why I'm a really big fan of the No Agenda show with Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak, because you go to noagendashow.com every Thursday, every Sunday, without fail, no matter what, they give you 3 hours of, media deconstruction. They pull clips, they listen to all the media outlets, and they're making fun of them. They got producers that do jingles and all kind of. I mean, I'm on the spaceship program. I give them $33 a month to be on Adam Curry's spaceship. They have a bunch of joke little things, and my rats just got out of the cage, so they're running around the house. So I have a rat in my hand now, and but yeah, and and I also give them $1 an hour, so I give them $4 a week, $16 on top of that. And what's great about it is that when you give them $1,000, you become knighted, and they send you a gold ring with an insignia and sealing wax, and you can actually use your ring like the old days, to seal letters that you send out in the mail and shit. It's fucking awesome. They have really cool programs, and if you donate more than I think $250 an episode, you're an associate executive producer. I think over $333, you're an executive producer, and their credits like Hollywood, and that's I love their value for value system, because it enables them halfway through the show. They if you're an executive producer, they'll read your letter on the air, and then anything under I think the $250 but higher than $50, they'll say your name, and they'll play jingles, and so I think it's a really smart model that more podcasts should get in on, and I've been looking into as things are happening where I can maybe set up a network and have more regular shows, because we haven't done a DarkDox Digest in a long time, because if we're not making any money, I have to get a job and do all these other things, and it takes away from what we're doing, exposing child pornography on social media. It takes away from me being able to edit these documentaries that people want me to make. I would love to do them for free, but we have to pay the bills, so we gotta, do other things, which takes away from our time on this earth, which is finite. It's we're gonna die one day. I mean, all of us are gonna die, and some of us are a higher risk than others doing what we do. So it's if there's only 30 or 40 DarkDox Digests ever, and then I die and that's it, that sucks. That's not good. We have so much more to share with all of you, and I have so many more things to put on DarkDox, and so many films to put out. I'd like Sacred Owls to be on the road. We can't play shows right now because our van is in the shop, and the shop is closing down because of COVID. He's moving to, moving the shop to his house, and it's an old 2001 van that needs a computer that they don't make anymore. So you have to go to a junkyard, but all the junkyards are closed. So I already canceled the insurance on our vehicle. Owlmobile is dead. I mean, I hate to say it.
Oh man,
Well,
that is sad.
That's really
I
sad.
mean, I'm not giving up on it. It's if we find that computer, we're gonna put it in there and do the diagnostic, and we need to rebuild the transmission again, because they fucked us over in Elko, Nevada. Don't trust Elko transmissions. They fucked us over. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad mechanics out there, but these are the real things that we deal with doing what we do. And the reason why our van is all beat up and stuff is because we have driven to the Bohemian Grove twice for pennies. When we play a show at a bar, we're lucky to get $200-300 in the door and merchandise sales. That's actually pretty good for a band on the road.
Yeah.
And DarkDox, again, since we don't sell anything and it's donations only, we really rely on that to do these things. And I'm not going to stop. It's just we're not doing anywhere near as much as what we could be doing if you guys helped us out some more. So please consider, donating to Greg, donating to DarkDox, and we'll throw Brendan some money. If he makes a website, we'll start plugging him.
I'm so busy.
Yeah, I don't have any I don't have like a donation or anything like that, but I
Really, I
am.
thought you had like a donate button on
No, I
Discontent.
don't. I don't. But I am
No?
looking for places like this show, the No Agenda show, somewhere that I can actually pay for some ads, create some ads for my book, to kind of spread that out there because
Yeah. Well, I would suggest them, yeah, for sure, because they don't do ads.
yeah,
That's the
I was
thing.
looking at that. It's like,
But
oh, they don't do ads,
but
but if
but if you become an executive producer
hmm
of an episode, so if you give them $250, now there's thousands and thousands of listeners for each episode, so it's like people are going to hear you. And the No Agenda community is like a really tight knit group. I've been hosting and going to No Agenda meetups. I'm on noagendasocial.com, which is their own social social media platform, and it's a really die-hard community. And if you have a book like you have, and all the stuff that you do, and you have $250, and you can write them a letter, like they're happy to read that on the air. And it's essentially an ad. It's like a native ad because they plug it. Like they'll be like, he has a book. Go to gregfernandezjr.com, buy his book. Gray State is an amazing thing. And then before he had a book about 9/11, I actually pulled it out of the van when I cleared it out the other day,
nice.
and because it lives in the Automobile, but now it's on our bookshelf. And yeah, so whatever you write in that letter, they even have people that hate listen to No Agenda, and they're like, you guys are doing this and this wrong, and you got this wrong, and I wish you'd stop saying blah blah blah. They read those letters. As long as you pay them, they'll read that letter. So it's that honest and that transparent with them. So it's like paying for ad space, but it's a lot more like honest. It's
Nice.
definitely something. And again, like they don't have other jobs either. Like they've been doing this for over 11 years, twice a week, nonstop. They do not miss a day, and it's 3 hours at least. Sometimes they go over, and it's funny. And they do it in a way that like you're getting all the same information, but like it's not as scary because they're making fun of stuff and they're playing like silly clips that like the producers make. So it's definitely it's an asset. It'd be a really sad day when No Agenda goes away, and we would like to do stuff like that for all of you guys and make the DarkDox Digest and all of this that much more. And I want to be able to like spend hours pulling clips and really making something top notch for all of you guys, but I can't on this budget. This is that simple. So you get what you give, and we're all hurting here, and we don't expect much. That's the thing. If everyone gave $1, if everyone gave $5, it would make so much of a difference. That's if 1,000 people give $1, that's $1,000. 500 people give $10. That's $5,000. And we could make the Gray Stage miniseries on $5,000. Like I could stop what I'm doing for 2 months, and work for you guys. If we got stuff like that. But we need it, or else we can't pay our bills. So with that ad break, what do you guys want to talk about next? I see Brendan shared in the group bcjobs.applicantpro.com/jobs for current career opportunities at BC Jobs. And that is the premier website to get a job at the Bohemian Grove. So if you guys live in California and you really want to go literally into the belly of the beast and get some intel for us, while making some chump change, Now, if you're living in like anywhere near Sonoma County, it's like known that like there's just no jobs out there. So, this might actually be a good thing, where you can actually make some money and do a good thing for us anyway. For not for us, but for humanity. If you can get any kind of information from the inside.
I'll take you to dinner after the cremation.
Oh yeah.
Come on out.
Yep. What about that one kid that's in the documentary? His Instagram handle is I forget now. Do you know what I'm talking about? He was like shouting his Instagram handle at you guys.
Who is this?
It was like a group of kids walking out of the gate,
Oh yeah,
and they're
yeah.
like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And, I don't know.
It was
They were
some,
saying all kinds of
yeah,
shit.
yeah, a bunch of little dandy folks there.
Yeah,
Uh,
they were a bunch of khaki wearing
yeah.
polos.
Yeah, well,
That's how they make you dress out there anyway.
they're out of a job now. I'm sure. I would like
I
to.
mean, maybe they might have come back.
You never know. You never know.
You never know.
I would like to ask you guys a question because one of the big things concerning the coronavirus that I keep hearing is this 5G theory. Now, I don't know what your
Yeah,
guys' views are on this 5G theory. I'd like to get that. I'd like everybody to know that
yeah,
we're just talking about it. My only
yeah.
thing is that I mean, this coronavirus has spread over what 185 countries. I cannot believe, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong many, many times. It's hard for me to believe that this all came from one source. That this is not something
Right.
that happened from multiple sources because of so many
Yes.
countries, and some of those countries do not have 5G. So I would
Sure.
like to hear your guys' thoughts on the 5G theory.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts, and I've looked a lot into this topic. And what, off the bat, from my experience, uh, is very telling and very questionable about it not being connected, is the fact that the mainstream media and social networks are automatically like, you know, any talk about 5G coronavirus conspiracy theories is unacceptable, and you will be banned, and like your stuff will be censored, and so like that's concerning to me because it's like, okay, so you guys all of a sudden got this talking point that anybody talking about a connection between COVID-19 and 5G is immediately going to be censored or outlawed or discredited or shut down. Whenever they do something like that, and the same thing happened with JFK. That's why they during the Warren Commission came up with the term conspiracy theorist, and they've used it through Operation Mockingbird, 9/11, for any false flag operations, for all of these things. That's the first thing I look at. It's a suspect that is obviously something in my mind that they are trying to cover up, and they don't want you talking about it, and they will discredit you. And then I saw the disinformation campaigns where I heard people saying that they were hearing people saying that 5G gives you COVID-19, which of course sounds absurd. It sounds as absurd as the whole no planar theory. And I know they keep getting up. If you could round them up, help me out with that, please. I'd appreciate it. These rats, they're wily. You make them a cage, and they're like, fuck your cage, and then they try to get out. They'll come to. Miss Burial's helping me with that. Yeah, so that's one of the main things I look at, and so now we have the media saying like, don't listen to anyone questioning it, or 5G. There's nothing wrong with 5G. Or 5G is good for you, and it's like, all right, that's bullshit, And also, why is setting up 5G radio towers essential work during a pandemic? That makes no sense. We have 4G. The internet's working just fine worldwide. It's been working. 4G's as good as it really needs to be. And then, but like, oh, we have to have these 5G towers right now of all times. Okay. And then when you pair that with Elon Musk reportedly, sending all of these different satellites to mirror the 5G signal into orbit right now, because that's so important right now. Why do we need that? Why couldn't that wait? While
COVID-19
we're
is
having
more than a
global
health
pandemic
crisis.
where, like, so
It's a
many
financial
people are
crisis.
dying? That doesn't make any sense. And then after you listen to the David Icke interview, and how he's talking about how the 5G, if you look at the side effects that people get from this 5G exposure, they're the same symptoms as the COVID-19. So it seems like people have been protesting 5G for over a year now, at least, very openly. There's Facebook groups that are against 5G, and social media is shutting them down. Fake news, fact check false, PolitiFact, Snopes, da 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 da. So when you look at all that, it's like, all right, well, like, why are so many scientists and groups, against this 5G, and why is it being shut down? And now why is it being pushed through when we can't protest it? It is, it's gonna. Who voted for all of these 5G towers to go into effect? Either, I mean, Trump is for it. A lot of the QAnon people are like, trust the plan. 5G, is good for you. This and that, and we all need 5G, and we need augmented reality and all of these. Virtual reality is going to be better with 5G and all of these things. But it's like, I don't need any of that shit. I'm going off the grid. It's like, I want less. I'm going into the woods to get away from 4G, and you're shoving 5G down our throats. So I believe that the QAnon movement has been co-opted, and that there are bad actors inside of that movement that are like, trust the plan, stay at home. They are arresting pedophiles. No, they're not. I don't see
Sounds
it.
like We Are Change. That's the way I felt about We Are Change.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm very weary. I feel like a lot of this is being co-opted. And because I've been around for the Tea Party movement, I've been around for 9/11 Truth, I've been around for the Ron Paul movement. They all got co-opted by COINTELPRO. It happens anytime there's a movement, give it a couple months and you're going to have a government operative from the deep state inside there trying to radicalize you and turn you into either something that sounds absurd, like the flat Earth, or something, or TV fakery, 9/11 fakery, or they're going to try to radicalize you into a terrorist organization. And they try to do it with federaljack.com. We had an event called Second Amendment Second Saturday where we taught people how to use firearms, gun safety, gun etiquette, taught them how to get their concealed weapons permits. Within a month or two, we had people from Mossad and MI6 confirmed, like, coming into our organization saying, when are we going to blow up cop cars? Do you guys have any illegal guns? Let's shoot those. Like, where can we shoot the illegal guns? And we had to kick.
A couple years ago, they found a pipe bomb underneath that big green bridge a mile from the Grove, and
yeah,
there was hardly a whisper of it in any of the newspapers. Nothing. And they just said, oh, maybe it was something left over from the 4th of July. But it was a straight up pipe bomb. They blew it up. Bomb squad came down, blew it up underneath the bridge. And it's less than a mile from the gate. And a week later, all those people are driving over the gate in their Maseratis and tinted out limos, and what I don't want to.
And I find it really interesting that, of course, it was a pipe bomb right by the Grove. When the Grove has its own fire department, it has Secret Service and their own private security forces roving everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. You can't get anywhere near any of it. So it's like, yeah, that seems like a false flag. It seems like the people who know how to do pyrotechnics and how to deal with all of that kind of explosions and fires, like their internal fire department, would know how to make a pipe bomb like that and blow it up in a way that no one got hurt, but maybe in a way to get us out of there, get people from showing up at the gates, and maybe even set one of us up. And
from what I saw, the only people that said anything about Bohemian Grove in association with that pipe bomb was us.
Yeah,
just us.
What year was that again?
That was about 2 years ago.
Okay, I wonder
it was
because there
the
was
first time we came.
Okay, that was they were very tense that year. I wonder if that's why. I wonder if that's why it was weird.
Right, because that was the first year that we put out like all these press releases. We made a U.S. national tour.
That's right.
The Sacred Owls going from Florida to the gates of the Bohemian Grove for their cremation of care. And we made a big deal all over social media. That's the same year that my internet got shut down days before, and YouTube for the first time shut down our ability to live stream. Facebook banned us from posting anything, and GoDaddy.com shut down our servers. So that whole summer, SacredOwls.com, DarkDox.com were down. So it was like that was the first year. Like they were really trying down. And then we showed up, we did it, we made the film, we put it out, and then the next year when we tried to come back, all of that other weird stuff happened where our van just out of nowhere in California started like acting up, and then it was fine when we left, and then almost killing us in the Nevada desert, by the way. And then since we didn't show up, Brendan was great enough to get us a hotel room. That's when we ripped all of the Bohemian Grove CDs and we released that instead because we couldn't make it up the mountain. But then when you guys showed up, there was a guard tower and all of this stuff. They were asking about, they were trying to buy your Sacred Owls button. They were asking where's the band, so it's like, I'm not saying it was all about us, but I'm saying that like, Anonymous put out that video and then none of them showed up. But there was a lot more than ever. There was a lot more international interest in protesting the cremation of care. So I find it interesting that those are the 2 years, because you've been going there for years before that, that's when they started ramping up security. That's when they put in the guard tower. That's when they had a pipe bomb and all of these other things.
That's weird.
So I'm going to let you guys talk about that. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, that's very, very strange to me. I don't know. Brendan, what do you think about any thoughts on last year? Last year was kind of a weird year, but any thoughts on this coming year? I got some ideas. I don't know, after hearing what Christian is saying, I don't know how much of it we want to make public after that. But I it's just like, well, I want to do something. I still want to go. I don't know how that's going to work with the whole shelter in place thing. Hopefully everything will be lifted by then, but if it's not, then I don't know. It's just a weird year, and I thought last year was a very strange year. But any comments on last year? I don't know if we ever got to talk about your experience last year.
Well, last year was interesting. Got there very early, and there's that tower. Filmed that a bit. Just set up a chair and sat down. A really burly sheriff came by. Made it very clear that I would not be breaking any rules. And I made it perfectly clear I was there. I've been going to that spot for almost 10 years, and you guys know who I am, no doubt. And he's like, yeah. And, kind of made peace with him. And then the new head of security named Jerry, who took over from Tony, he started asking all about the band and wanting to buy my
Rest in peace, Tony. I'm sorry we had you killed.
Yeah, huh? He definitely doxed himself talking about his time being a Secret Service agent.
Well, I still got his wrestling ticket. If he ever wants to come out to a wrestling show, I still got it.
And by the way, you can see the full interaction that Greg and Brendan had with Tony. I didn't have the privilege. That was before my time. But it's in the documentary Sacred Owls. They Are Here to Save the World. It's free download at DarkDox.com. You can buy it on DVD. It's only $13, free shipping worldwide at DarkDox.com and SacredOwls.com. And honestly, like that, Cremation of Care documentary is one of my favorite things. The footage over the years that you guys have shot was just such a pleasure to edit together, and all the different people. You had, just so many different people coming and going. Mark Dice and Cindy Sheehan back in 2012, and all of the protesters who during the Occupy movement and stuff. And then just how after that, like that was it. It was dead. It was just you guys and Tony, and talk of poison donuts and the Secret Service and Henry
And
Kissinger and
and falling trees. Don't forget the falling tree. That was the big one for me.
right.
I'll never forget the look on their face when they were playing all these games. Everything was ha ha blah blah blah, and all of a sudden, there is God, right there.
They
That's
came
my view
out,
on
they
it.
gave us a box of donuts, and as soon as they handed them to us from their little golf cart, this limb broke right above their head and almost came knocking them on their noggins. It was hysterical. They they were pretty you know, they kept trying to get us to talk about Antifa and saying that we were part of them and they were part of us, and asking us, a couple years ago after Milo thing in Berkeley, where's all your people? I think that was around the same time as a lot of the pressers about the sacred owls and stuff, and they had said somebody tried to breach the perimeter the night before that we were there for the day of the cremation of care. And the guy telling us that was this. He looked like he was 25, some buff, like dude, in a really tight uniform, security uniform, and he didn't want to be filmed, but we might have gotten some of that on there. But he kept trying to get us to allude that that we knew kind of something. We're just like, oh, that's interesting. They definitely had a lot of questions for us, more questions than ever, the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And from 2012, then the next year and the year after that, we had a lot of kind of high profile people coming and going, protesting and getting sound bites and doing whatever they do with it. Anthony Hilder, who not, and all of a sudden just stopped. And literally, it was just us, and we're just showing up every year. And it came out last year that that the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department was using tax dollars to finance the security detail, and then afterwards, after the fact, after the Grove ended, the club would then reimburse the tax money to the Sheriff's Department. The female Board of Supervisors, they were pretty upset, saying, why are you using tax dollars at all for this? And why are you guarding all these misogynists and, world elites? Why? It's a men's only club. Why are you going to use tax dollars for that and all that? And so they actually contacted us for a statement, because we're the only people showing up year after year. Just this ragtag group of researchers and authors and musicians, and Associated Press is calling us for a statement. It says a lot.
We got somebody in the chat room, Dank311, who has brought up some very interesting things that, Christian, maybe you've heard of. Maybe you can give some comments on. A guy named, what's his name, Larry Nasser, and it relates to the Special Olympics and some of the some pedophilia stuff that was happening there. Have you heard anything about this? Olympic community and trafficking.
No.
So I'm just kind of looking it up, kind of researching it just to see. I've never heard about it, but it sounds
Is that
like
the
some
Olympic Club?
disgusting. Yeah, something like that. Let me see if I can pull up an article here, if I still have it up here. Larry Nasser. This is a weird story. Let me find a better article here. And there was another guy named Gettert. Let me go back to Larry Nasser here. Okay. Let's see. Former Michigan State University dean. Okay. Had a video on his computer of ex-MSU and USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. He was abusing a patient, according to a police affidavit. The former dean was in charge of the school's College of Osteopathic Medicine, making him Nassar's boss at the time. This is a weird thing. I mean, when you're talking about, it sounds like this guy was sexually abusing special needs children. That is
Oh,
disgusting. And there
what
was
did
a
I just jump
video.
back into?
Okay, have you ever heard of a guy named Larry Nassar?
No.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you haven't heard of this one. Okay.
Where's he from? What's his deal?
Okay, let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up something better than what I was reading, because that didn't really help me. Okay, Larry Nassar. And it's hard because there's so many different news articles, you don't know what to really trust. Um, this guy was sentenced to 175 years in prison. Sentenced to 175 years in prison for decades of sexual abuse. Once a world-renowned sports physician treating America's foremost Olympic women gymnasts, Larry Nassar will now spend the rest of his life behind bars. This is a CNN article, so consider the source on that. But this is from 2018. Oh my God, these pop-ups are killing me here.
There we go. Yeah, so Larry Nassar, according to Wikipedia anyway,
Okay.
Lawrence Jared Nassar is a convicted American serial child molester who was formerly a USA Gymnastics national team doctor and osteopathic physician at Michigan State University.
I feel like
USA
this has been
Gymnastics
on
abuse
the
scandal.
DarkDox group at some point. Somebody might have posted this.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much goes through there.
Yeah, there's good stuff there. Everybody should
Yeah,
join
it-
that Facebook group too, because that's a
Yeah,
good Facebook
yeah,
group.
thank you. Indeed, if you're on Facebook, look up the DarkDox Network group, and I approve everyone that gets in there, but I give free reign for anyone to post anything, and it's very odd for me to remove anything, no matter how crazy it sounds. I want it to be as much of a free speech platform as possible on a place like Facebook. But there's thousands of people on there. There's a lot of comments. I get a lot of my information from there, and it's really a growing community as well. The Justice for David Crowley Facebook group. There's a lot of great people in there. You guys are growing quite a bit, and there's a lot of really good intel involving that case as well. Join those two groups for sure if you haven't.
Yeah, we just hit over 3,200 people, and I think a lot of that is because of what is happening now. Because
Oh, yeah.
if you look at David Crowley's case, or David Crowley's story, a former U.S. soldier that was a former U.S. soldier and a filmmaker that was about to make a really big film called Gray State, and he was accused of killing his wife, killing his daughter, and killing himself right before he was about to make it big. So we just kind of go over all of that, and but if you look at what's happening now, there is on DarkDox, there is the David Crowley script, so you can actually read David Crowley's
Yes.
script there right now if you go to darkdox.com/DOX, and you will find David Crowley's script that probably is the script. In my view, this is the script that got him that quote-unquote $30 million deal. And at the end of his life, they were about to make this movie into a TV series. So they were like, okay, from the 2012 trailer, he was able to pitch a Hollywood film company or a Hollywood group. He was able to pitch them Gray State, and they were going to make it into a TV series that was basically, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it was basically about the fall of this country And if in his story, if you take out the collapse of the dollar and you replace it with the coronavirus, it's pretty much what's happening now, and it's pretty much where this country seems to be going as far as taking our rights away.
Absolutely. And right next to it, you'll see The Gray Stage by Greg Fernandez Jr. That is the book that Greg wrote about the gray state. And it's the gray stage, of course, because all of us that have been researching this are of the belief that this was a staged event, that he didn't actually kill his wife, his daughter, and himself, but rather somebody else, whether it was a wet works team, some think it was the Freemasons, there's a lot of theories, but somebody intervened, entered that house, killed that whole family, wrote Allah Akbar in blood when they were Christians on the wall, and left a bunch of very strange clues for the law enforcement to conclude that this was a murder-suicide. The investigation was a joke. When you actually read the transcripts, when you listen to the 911 call, you listen to the interviews with law enforcement, it doesn't make any sense. It just seems like they were very quickly trying to brush this whole thing under the rug and move forward with the narrative that this guy was just a alt-right, before that was even a term, conspiracy theorist that snapped and killed his family. But the more you look into this case, and Greg's, he's had over 100 YouTube videos on the topic, and at GregFernandezJr.com, he has archived pretty much everything you could possibly imagine about this case. I mean, it's really as much information as is on DarkDox.com, but just about this case. It's amazing, and eventually I'd like to have a whole gray stage section of DarkDox where I mirror all of that stuff, and that's again one of the many projects I have to do. But yeah, this could have happened to any of us here on this call. With what we do, it could still happen to any of us on this call, and we really do need to get justice for David Crowley, because I honestly believe, from what I've seen, that he was one of us. He was just some guy listening to InfoWars that wanted to help spread the truth and the information to the people of the world in order to rise up and have liberty and have their freedom and expose the corrupt, satanic, pedophilic scumbags that are running things. And he just got too close. His movie would have been too impactful, and the right people knew how powerful this would have been, and they stopped him. And his daughter and his wife and himself, they had to pay the price for doing what we're doing now, which is standing up for all of you and putting our necks on the line in order to at least discuss all of these things.
Yeah, I do need to get you all of those documents on my website, the
Yeah, if you could make a big old zip
graystage.wordpress.
folder, that'd be just epic,
Yeah, I'll try.
It's
I'll
just,
see if I
it's
can
like
do
dark.
that.
A lot of people are asking me about that. We have to talk to what's his name? It's getting late. What's the other guy in the Resistor Grove? The
Sean.
tech guy. Sean, yeah, Sean. Yeah, he has like a program that you can just download everything on a website, and that's how he found my broken link stakes. By the way, I fixed those.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, but like, that would be good, for something like that. Or if you can just get everything, make a big old zip folder, throw it on like a drive. So, because that's what I'd like to do, have it available for everyone to just download all of it, but then also make thumbnails for each individual thing so people can look at, because I find that when you just make a big, people are different. Some people, they just want all of it, and then on their leisure they'll look at everything, and I
Right.
get that. I'm like that. But a lot of people are like, that's too much. I don't have enough room on my phone. Believe it or not, a lot of like activists and truthers and stuff, they just operate off of a smartphone, which blows my mind. If I didn't have my laptop, I mean, forget it. I do like a quarter of what I do now, if that. But a lot of people, like, yeah, they're just operating off a smartphone. But even for like a laptop, people don't have a lot of storage. They have a lot of other stuff, so they can't just download everything. They don't have the room. So the ability to have thumbnails for each individual thing, and then something that's attractive, like, ooh, let me click on that, and then they can just like look at one thing day by day. Oh, I already read that part, or I'll come back to that. I find like that some people like that's more appealing, and that's why Netflix is such, that's why Netflix is so popular, and Hulu and Amazon Prime, all of these channels, because people just like being able to scroll through images. And I learned that Federal Jack really early on, where we had federaljack.com, and it was like Infowars, like a news site. But then on our sidebar, I was in charge as the graphic designer and stuff of like the library, where like it was like videos, PDFs, and that was really the birth of DarkDox on the federaljack.com. It was just the sidebar. So you'd be reading articles, and as you're scrolling through the articles and reading stuff, all of the stuff on the sidebar were just like these like squares where it's like, watch Aaron Russo's American Freedom to Fascism, watch Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. And at the time, like, they were just links to the YouTube videos, whatever was on YouTube, that just link you to that. And then as we got more server space, we were like, we could host these things, so we actually started uploading the MP4s, and then the browsers got better where you could, if you click on an MP4, there's a player in your browser. It wasn't always like that. So it's easier now more than ever, without a bunch of plugins, without a bunch of BS, for you to be able to either right-click and save as, or click on it and just like stream it, And if you have a strong connection, it streams pretty nicely. It's a little choppy, a little choppier than YouTube because they have like crazy servers, Again, the more money you give us. I have a very inexpensive but yet very powerful hosting platform that I'm grandfathered into, and GoDaddy hates me for it. Honestly, they try to kick me off that hosting all the time for like bullshit, and I have to really mind my P's and Q's and not use my hosting as a storage facility. Everything that I upload, it has to have a thumbnail, or else they send spiders and they catch me and they pull my servers down. They've done it twice over the past 3 years.
Wow.
So, again, all of this stuff, it goes away if you don't help support it, because next time GoDaddy pulls me down, I might have to upgrade to the the professional package. It's $1,000 a month, which is nothing compared to like Alex Jones. He's paying $10,000 a month for the hosting of band.video, which is doing the same thing DarkDox is doing, but we're doing it for $250 a year. Because again, I'm grandfathered into this thing that they're trying to kick me off of. All of your help really helps. This is not forever. What you're experiencing right now can go away very easily with no support. But yeah, I mean, it's really important for us to continue to get this stuff out there. I wanted to switch gears.
Sure.
And talk a little bit about Donald Trump and COVID again, because Miss Ariel Burial of Sacred Owls brought this to my attention earlier today when she was reading something. May the Truth Scare You 2020 was another. Someone sent me another documentary to watch. These things are coming out like every hour. So if you go to twitter.com/real Donald Trump, that is Donald Trump's official Twitter page. 14 hours ago, actually 15 hours ago, today's tweets have been really interesting. I'm going to start with this one 15 hours ago. It says, in January, February, as the virus spread globally, why did the World Health Organization wait as long as it did to take divisive action? Leahy Chin, Hoover Institute Fellows at Fox News. Which is, his typical stuff. And then after that, within the hour, why did the World Health Organization ignore an email from Taiwanese health officials in late December alerting them to the possibility that the coronavirus could be transmitted between humans? Why did the World Health Organization make several claims about the coronavirus that are either inaccurate or misleading? So again, this is after he has already defunded the World Health Organization because we pay more money by far, like tenfold, than China. Yet China gets a lot more attention from the World Health Organization. And that's why Bill Gates is mad at Donald Trump right now for defunding him, because he's also part of the World Health Organization, is part of the United Nations Agenda 21, is part of the globalist New World Order plan in order to have a one world health organization. So, that's one of the things that I was really like, this is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard. If you go to whitehouse.gov, I think it is, or whitehouse.com, but basically there's a good maybe 2 or 3 pages that kind of lays out what Trump thinks about the virus, what he thinks about WHO, and why they're investigating WHO. And so I've got that. I think I got the right one that she was talking about. Maybe, I don't know. Twitter is just, I've never really understood Twitter, so I'm scrolling through his Twitter right now.
Yeah, Twitter's a mess.
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah, if
kinda
you go,
weird.
like I'm just kind of starting 15 hours ago, and then she just updated me that she continued reading that like there is actually an investigation going on whether or not the World Health Organization was either complicit,
Correct.
or covering up for these like the Wuhan labs releasing this. There's a lot of speculation, but like it is being investigated that they might have been complicit or at least
That's
complacent.
Yeah, and that's
But what I found really interesting isn't even that. Is that after that, he said people started losing their jobs because of crazy Nancy Pelosi, crying Chuck Schumer, and the radical left, do-nothing Democrats who should immediately come back from Washington and approve legislation to help families of America and end your endless vacation. That's your typical Donald Trump, what the Democrats call vitriol. But what I found really shocking was in the next hour. 13 hours ago, he said, liberate Minnesota, which Minnesota was having the protests against the lockdown. In the same hour, 13 hours ago, he said, liberate Michigan, again, another state with the protests. Now, this is the most interesting one. 12 hours ago, he said, liberate Virginia, comma, and save your great Second Amendment. It is under siege.
Yeah.
I found that one very shocking, really. What president in American history has ever said such a thing to protesters in a time like this, or ever, directly to the people? Because people take for granted that we are in a very interesting time where the president of the United States doesn't have to go through the Mockingbird CIA mainstream media in order to talk to you. He can actually just like directly talk to you. Now, granted, there was always State of the Unions and different things where, he is directly talking to the people, but it's always syndicated through the mainstream media, and they might, cut out and have analysis and correspondence, and you might not actually see the whole thing. You might just see parts of it, whatever they want to clip out of context. And it wasn't really until C-SPAN came out where they just have like live feeds of like, here's the whole thing, Senate trials and things like that. But now on Twitter, it's like he just gets to tweet whatever they want, and the mainstream media hates it.
Yeah,
they hate that the president of the United States has the ability to just straight up talk to us, on a social media platform. And they tried to have him taken off of Twitter, which is, blows my mind.
That's great. I love
But
it.
with all of this, they're also, he shared a link to whitehouse.gov/opening America, and this is a thing that I was talking to my friend from Federal Jack earlier, the one that has the information on a truther that was compromised at one point. That it really concerned him. As far as a phasing plan for opening up America again, I'm reading this. This is a cold read, so I'm reading this for the first time to you guys. While I'm learning about it. So, on this WhiteHouse.gov/opening America, here are the guidelines for opening America up again. President Trump has unveiled guidelines for opening up America again, a three-phased approach based on the advice of public health experts. These steps will help state and local officials when reopening their economies, getting people back to work, and continuing to protect American lives. So there's a criteria, phase 1, phase 2, and a phase 3 to opening up America again. A proposed phase approach based on up-to-date data and readiness mitigates risk and resurgence, protects the most vulnerable, and implements a statewide or county-by-county basis at governor's discretion. Proposed state or regional gating criteria, symptoms, downward trajectory of influenza-like illness reported within 14-day period, and downward trajectory of COVID-like syndrome cases reported within a 14-day period. Cases, downward trajectory of documented cases within a 14-day period. Hospitals treat all patients with crisis care. This is your basic stuff. What concerned him is that he was kind of saying that, well, phase 1 is going to be this, phase 2, and that almost seems like something like, is there going to be mandatory testing? And it's something he's talked against, but I just want to kind of scroll through this and make sure that there's no guidelines that are requiring anything in order to a term that is being used a lot is the new normal. And when you hear terms like this in the mainstream media, the new normal is it's very Orwellian. It's very 1984, maybe even Brave New Worlds, where now what was normal, what normal life used to mean, is no longer. We are now in a new era, a post-COVID-19 era, where there's going to be a new normal where you're going to have to do different things, and that is the thing that really frightened and kind of raised his eyebrow. This is a guy that he's a very spiritual, kind of in-touch person, and he really is in tune with, I guess, what you would call neuro-linguistic programming, or the use of words, and for example, why I called this episode social discontent, because I don't personally like that. Why are we calling it social distancing? I mean, because you want people to be socially distant with one another, which has nothing to do with your physical proximity. But these are words and terms that are thrown in to the nomenclature in order for you to subconsciously act a certain way. And I see it when I'm at the supermarket, when I'm out in public, and I'm not wearing a mask, because this is bullshit. I get dirty looks. I get people staying away from me. So this is, that's the social, not physical, the social distancing aspect to the, this psychological operation, the psyop.
Yep,
that we are all
I got
experiencing.
that too. Yep, I got that same thing too. And there was this guy standing in line because at the grocery store, for whatever reason, we have to stand in line, and they're just regulating who can go in and
They have the tape on the floor.
Yeah,
you have to stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah, and there's this a guy who just keeps looking back at me, and I'm like, what are you looking at me for? Worry
Like
about
you're a
you.
terrorist. You're doing something wrong.
Well, he's the terrorist. I mean, that's what terrorists do. Terrorists want you to.
They wear masks.
Yeah, they wear masks. Exactly. I'm not hiding. I'm not scared. Now, I am taking it seriously. I take it very seriously because like I said,
I got my hand sanitizer in my hands. I'm not.
But I'm not
touching
scared.
anything.
Right, but I'm not scared. You could tell he was scared, but he wasn't scared of the virus. He was scared of people that might have the virus. It's just It's crazy. So when you talk about social distancing, it's like a keyword for socialism. For me, it's just like
Uh-huh.
that is the worst word that you could ever use. That word makes no sense. Instead of
Should be
just
called
saying
physical proximity.
there, you
You
call it
should be.
anything else. Yeah,
It could be called anything else. Like it should be called physical distancing, physical proximity requirements. It could, but social and distancing. That is what we are experiencing. We are experiencing people fighting on social media, staying in their
that's right.
homes. They're scared. They're staying away from everybody. They're panicking and they're panic buying, which is hurting people. That's what the whole toilet paper pandemic.
Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. I
Yep.
mean, I see it. It's like people that you know, would never think that you would see it in. Good meaning people. That's the whole trick. That's how you know that it's a trick, when they can trick good meaning people that really are like, you know what, let's do whatever we can to stop this virus from spreading. I don't think there's anybody, any good human being, that wants to let this virus spread.
Of course
Okay?
not.
So
Yeah.
it's that's
Whether you
common
believe it or
sense.
not, you don't want to hurt
Exactly.
anybody. And
Exactly.
one thing that doesn't make sense that I'm seeing on social media
Yeah.
is that I see so many, particularly Democrats, but yeah, just like anarchists and libertarians and Green Party people. So this isn't necessarily partisan, even though the majority of these protests are, Republicans or Trump supporters. There's a lot of libertarians and non-affiliated independent people, but I'm seeing a lot of people on social media being like, these people that are going to these protests, are like, going to kill my mother. They're going to get my child sick. But what blows me away is the level of cognitive dissonance once more, because it's like, if you're staying at home and your mom is staying at home and your kids are staying at home, how are these protesters going to be hurting your family if you're in quarantine? You're isolating yourself. You are social distancing and physical proximating. You are staying away from everybody. How are the actions of other people in your city? But again, are they coming to your house? Are these protesters kicking down your door and coughing in your face? There's no way in hell for these people and their actions to be hurting you. And they also say how much they hate these people. They hate Trump supporters. They hate Republicans. Well, if you hate these people so much and you wish that they weren't around to vote in the next election, shouldn't you encourage them to go out and get each other infected and kill each other? Because then you guys win. If you guys think that global warming is such a problem and that human beings are a disease, human beings are the virus. I hear Democrats say this shit, that I am a virus. I need to stop breathing in order to lower my carbon footprints. I am a plague on the earth. I hear these people say this stuff. Well, then shouldn't you be encouraging these people to get sick and die in order for your depopulation, global New World Order agenda? Because if all the Republicans kill themselves with COVID-19, then we're going to have Joe Biden in office, and everything is going to be hunky-dory for them.
Well,
But
one thing.
that is what is really shocking to me. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
One thing that I would wonder is, okay, we have all these people that are going out to these protests. They are gathering. That is their right. That is their constitutional right. Whatever anybody thinks, regardless of what I think, it doesn't matter.
Protected under the first.
That's right. So I can think, oh, well, they shouldn't be doing that, but that is their constitutional right.
Yeah.
But let's see how many of those people come down with this virus. And if it's zero,
Exactly.
then we have
Then
to
you
take
know
it
it's fake.
seriously.
Right. It's
I
that
would rather
simple.
I would rather get the virus than get the vaccine.
Exactly.
I mean,
Same here.
you wouldn't need to get the vaccine if you had the virus. I have the world's crappiest immune system from having cancer many years
Right.
ago. I have N95 masks because of all the forest fires and stuff out here over the past few years, you know. I I wear those when I go out. Those are supposed to keep me safe, but they look at you like you ripped it off a dead nurse or something. You know, that hey, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, and again, like I mean, it's it is our right to protect our bodies or expose our bodies to whatever we want. I mean, I'm a libertarian, so what that means, is that I'm not part of the Libertarian Party. I think Gary Johnson's an idiot, but I think that the main aspects of libertarianism is that it's like as long as you're not hurting anybody else, you have the right to do whatever you want. And with that being said, and the argument from the left that I'm getting is like, well, if you infect others, you are hurting people. It's like you don't have to be around me. It's like if you see me coming, you could get away. If you really want to be careful, you need to like vet all of the people that you're around and make sure. And if you're really that paranoid, you need to stay away from everybody. If you have a compromised immune system and there's a pandemic going on, maybe send someone to Publix or like use one of the. We have all of these services now that bring your groceries to your doorstep. Bring everything to your doorstep. Whereas I honestly, I'm calling bullshit. I've been ordering shit from Wish, and I got a pair of suspenders from China, and like right at the beginning of this pandemic, and I've been wearing them. I didn't wash them first. Because the way I see it is that like if there's something so bad going around, and I have a good immune system, I have a good one. I fortify it. I take all kinds of vitamins. I exercise. I eat all the right things. But I also eat a lot of bad. I eat a Taco Bell. I eat a bunch of garbage also, and that's important too because if you only eat at Whole Foods and you're vegan and you da 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 da, like if you get a piece of hamburger, if someone throws a little bit of cheese in your food by accident, if something that you ate had a little bit of milk in the production, or like that's how these people become, get a gluten allergy, or like become lactose intolerant, or all of these things. It's because like you had an imbalance. You either drinking too much milk, too much cheese, eating too much cheese, or you were just like it's so alien to your system that your body doesn't know what to do. Our bodies are amazing. Our immune systems are insane, and we can build herd immunity to anything pretty much. We thrive in adversities as a species. And when things, people can survive for like 60, 70, 80 years eating out of dumpsters, eating things in the woods. I mean, we are amazing evolutionary biological marvels. And we have been taught that we are these fragile little things that, oh, you have to get a vaccine for this and that and this. You have to get a booster. Oh, yeah, it's going to make you sick. But like, oh, yeah, now you have cancer. Oh, now you died. And these people are trying to kill you. The CDC, the American Dental Association, all of these, these organizations, if you go back in time, who started these organizations, they all came through in the U.S. through Operation Paperclip. They're Nazi scientists. That's why we have fluoride in our water. That's why we have, thimerosal in vaccinations. They want us sick. They want our immune systems to be garbage, and they want to sell us the cure because they're criminals. If you refuse all of it and you just simply eat organic, free-range, healthy stuff, and you don't limit yourself, and you eat some of their GMO garbage sometimes, I honestly believe that's the pathway to having a fortified immune system, where if I get something garbage snuck into my supply, it doesn't take me so off guard that I get deathly ill, but I'm also not living off of garbage, so I actually have a good immune system because I'm taking all kinds of vitamins. And here's a good native advertisement. A pediatric endocrinologist here in Altamont Springs by the name of Amit Habib, he developed and has the patent for what we call the Trio Life formula. And it is a vitamin and mineral supplement along with an essential fatty acid of organic flaxseed oil, hemp seed oil, primrose oil, and coenzyme Q10. And it's amazing. He developed it for his patients with diabetes, and but it does way more than that. It's helped me with my memory. He doesn't pay me. He pays me in the actual pills. He gives me boxes of this stuff, and we use it. It's like $30 a bottle. But if you get like a 3 or 6 or 1 year supply from TrioLife.com, that's TREOLIFE.com, there's price breaks, free shipping if you buy a year's supply and stuff like that. And I know this sounds kind of like the Alex Jones stuff, but if you actually look at the amount of the vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids that are in his stuff, it's so absurd what the Food and Drug, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration tells you. Like they want you to take like 200 milligrams of vitamin C.
TrioLife.com,
Yeah,
is that one?
Yeah, TREOLIFE.com.
Okay.
I actually came up with the name. I do all of his graphic design, his web design, the corporate branding, and all of that stuff. We came up with the name. It used to be called GluPro, but then the company got split up, and then he has the patent for this aspect of it. And after like a legal battle and stuff, and they were trying to screw him over. Long story short, but yeah, we call it Trio Life because it's trio like in Spanish because there's 3 major aspects: vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids. And also it's a play on words because the tree of life, of course, is what gives us all life and health and happiness and all of that. So, we thought that that'd be a clever, simple name. The domain was available, so we went ahead and went that route. But this stuff, I mean, the essential fatty acids are so important because they increase the elasticity of your heart valves, your blood vessels, and I personally feel that the EFAs, they give me more clarity. I used to have a terrible memory. I couldn't remember people's names, phone numbers, any string of numbers, anything. Since I've been taking the EFA on a regular basis, I can really feel, just I can remember stuff that I couldn't remember before. My short-term, I've been a stoner, since I was a teenager. So of course, like as a pothead, your memory sucks. Your short-term memory is garbage. But I find that my short-term memory is fantastic. I'm learning American Sign Language when I honestly believe that there was no way in hell I could learn a second language. Just because I tried to learn Spanish. It's in one ear, out the other. I know just enough to pass the test, and then even trying to practice it gets me headaches. I get frustrated. But taking the EFAs and the vitamins and minerals, it's definitely given me more energy. I get sick, hardly ever, and if I do, I just pump some more vitamin C and into the mix with all of it. It doesn't really interfere with any other medications that people take unless you are on a blood thinner. The essential fatty acid, because it increases the elasticity of your heart valves and your blood vessels, it by proxy expedites blood pumping in your body, which is it kind of acts as so if you're taking a blood thinner, like for heart or whatever you might take a blood thinner for, you would have to stop taking your blood thinner in order to take the EFAs. I only know that because my mother has heart issues and she can't take the EFAs without getting off of her blood thinners. But her cardiologist, or they have her on such like a fine cocktail of things that, if she removes something, it might be detrimental. And I don't want to be the one that gave her advice, whatever. So if you're a healthy person or you are diabetic, pre-diabetic, look into. We've done videos. He's done all kinds of testimonials. And one of what's really interesting is that he has a whole study on how the minerals in the soils of the United States farms since the 1960s have been depleted of essential minerals. And even if you're
Gentlemen,
growing, yes,
I must head out. I I want to say keep on straight ahead, everybody, and I really appreciate all that you do.
yeah, it's great
And
having you, Brendan.
let's do this again real soon.
Thanks, brother.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Be safe.
Be safe. In this quarantine
Definitely.
California.
Quarantine California.
Dude, it's
But
great.
yeah, anyways, long story short, like our soils that our fruits and vegetables have been growing in the United States have been depleted of minerals because of the Industrial Revolution, because of the
Because
farms
of
are
money,
forced not
evil.
to rotate crops properly
Mhm.
in order to get the right minerals into the soils. So the foods that you're eating, compared to the foods of like the 1960s and before, are lacking in a lot of the minerals that are necessary in order for health. So, taking supplements has become a necessity, especially for people with lowered immune systems and things like that. So anyways, working with him over the years, I've learned a lot about a lot of this stuff, and I've seen the results of this stuff, and check it out, do the research, and get a second opinion. But I can tell you from firsthand, he doesn't pay me money; he pays me in pills, and I'm happy to take them because
Because it works.
it works, and I don't have $60 a month to take vitamins. But again, if you can invest in like the 3 month, 6 month, or 1 year supplies, there's price breaks, so it actually becomes pretty reasonable compared to a lot of the things you might find at GNC and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'm still flipping through this phasing plan at whitehouse.gov/opening America.
All right, I'm gonna go
Phase
back.
one is your typical stuff where individuals, employees, and specific types of employees. To In phase one, all vulnerable individuals should continue to shelter in place. Members of households with vulnerable residents should be aware that by returning to work and other environments, they are distancing where distancing is not practical. They could carry the virus back. So this is your basic stuff. And in public, outdoors, recreation areas should maximize physical proximity with others. So it's all the stuff that the CDC has been telling us. I'm more interested in this phase two and phase three. What are they going to make us do, right? Phase two, for states, regions with no evidence of a rebound and that satisfy gathering criteria a second time, all vulnerable individuals should continue to shelter in place. So it's a lot of the same stuff. I just want to see if they're like, you gotta get tested, you gotta get vaccinated. Those are my real concerns.
No, yeah, I don't think so, and I think that would be at a state level, because Trump was even talking about phase four. He's kind of joking, and so it's kind of good to watch, regardless of your views on Trump.
Yeah, because there is no phase four. It ends in
Well,
appendix vulnerable individuals. So it really seems like it's not a They shouldn't even call it a phasing plan, because a phasing plan means phase one happens, and then when phase one is done, phase
well,
two happens.
right, but
But
this
this
is.
is really like
But
phase
this
is the
isn't like
wrong
he's
word.
start right. But they're not starting here. They're making sure that it's on record what their phase
They're
one
saying
was.
like right now, like everyone should be in phase one doing this and this and this, and then when like if for states are with no evidence of a rebound that satisfy whatever, it's like the more lax you should do this, but you don't have to do all of
Gotcha.
that.
Okay, I
And
got
then phase three is for states and regions with no evidence of a rebound that satisfy the gating criteria a third time. So it's like after a 14-day, after whatever, then it's like it's just kind of like slowly. You don't have to worry about the 6 feet. You don't have to cover your face. You don't have to do this and that.
Is
If
that
you
what I
you know
mean?
it's
That because I get the
I
feeling I
see how
get.
it could be called a phasing plan, but really it's more of a proximity thing. And okay, so nothing too scary there, which that's very reassuring to me. And I get to tell my friend Oz like, hey, like this phasing plan isn't as draconian as it
No, tell him.
sounds.
I would tell him that the scary stuff is going to come from the state level and from the
Yeah,
county level. That's really my view after listening to what Trump has said, after listening to what our governor here is saying. They're going to open up. I think a lot of the states right now, just my view, they're in phase three now. There's going to be very few states that aren't, but um, it, it,
where like New York is obviously phase one, Washington State phase
not
one,
from what the
because
governors
they
are
had more
saying.
outbreaks.
Yeah, but not from what the governors are saying. They're all talking about more stuff that is closer to phase three. They want to open up the country, but there, the thing that I'm worried about is some governors are going to open up their state with draconian measures, and it's going
Yeah,
to get worse and worse and worse. And if people even start sneezing, if there's anything, they don't need at this point, they don't need anything to get worse. They have everything. They've spread that fear. These states is what I'm talking about. They spread that fear so well that people are willing to give up their rights. That's to me,
right.
that's a scary scenario, and I don't think it's going to come from the federal level. I really believe that it's going to come from the county level and from the state level. And when it hits the state level, that's going to be bad because it's going to be hard to really fight that in this state that I'm living in.
Absolutely, because what kind of like you know put all of my alarms off and stuff coming into all of this is I had people telling me that you know well, first of all, you have the World Health Organization straight up saying in the past 48 hours that they're going to go house to house and test people and drag people out essentially if they test positive or this and that, like, which is like our worst nightmare. That's like blue helmet stuff. That's what Gray State was talking about,
Right.
where like one reason or another, like you have not even government officials, but like globalist United Nations World Health Organization officials
Correct.
going door to door,
But they've
superseding
already.
our federal government.
Right. But
Yeah, and taking people out. And then I had other people saying, no, like like you don't have to get the vaccination, but if you don't, you can't go to a football game. You're gonna have a bracelet or like an app, and like you hear a lot of on the mainstream media they're talking about tracking, where like you have to download this app or like some people were even saying it's going to be integrated into the Android operating system and iOS on for Apple
yeah.
users, where it's not even an app you download. It's just going to be on the update, just like what they did with the Facebook, where you can't get rid of it.
That's right.
Even if you don't use Facebook, too bad you have Facebook on your phone,
Yep.
and it's taking up space, and you can't get rid of it. Where they're going to have these like CDC apps, and if you don't get tested, then like they know who you are that you weren't tested, and they using the 5G technology they can triangulate you, and then you can see where other people that haven't been tested are, and again it's a violation of privacy.
That's
It's a
right.
violation of the Fifth Amendment. Where you have the right to privacy, your right to your papers and your documents, where that's my biology, my genetics, what is inside of my body is protected under the Fifth Amendment. It is protected that I don't have to shoot anything up that I don't want to. I don't have to tell you what is inside of my body. My DNA, my RNA, my genetic code is my personal private property that unless I give it to like you know, one of these Ancestry.com, or, you know, unless I give away the right to my genetics, that is no one's business. It is mine. And I get to be autonomous and sovereign in my person and effects, and I get to roam this land as a free citizen without anyone knowing what diseases I do or don't have, or, you know, it's like it's no one's business.
Right. But see
And
here people are actually lining up. People are calling. They want to get tested. You know,
yeah,
they're doing all of these things that then they're going to go on a list. And let's say one of them tests positive, then that list can be used to find out who their family are, who their friends are, who their spouses are, who they're living with, and they can that stuff can be used to go after them. But the big problem that I'm seeing, at least here in San Francisco, in this area, is that people are wanting, they're lining up to be tested. They're going to line up for the vaccine. That's my fear. And that's what I think is going to happen here. And
right,
I don't think they're going to have to force it. I think a lot of people are just going to take it. But then, like how you were saying,
right.
you
But
can't work
if a lot of
unless you get it.
people have, you know, just do it of their own free will, then all of us that haven't taken it, my concern is that we're going to be considered a second class citizen. We're going to be considered someone that has something to hide.
That's right.
We are going to become, you know, the have-nots, the less thans, whereas
The
everyone else
plebs.
that consented, they are now, you know, part of. They're not the elite, you know, but they are, you know, the ones in society. You know, pretty much we're the ones that our chip is going to be turned off when they have microchips. We're the ones that, oh, you know, oh, you refuse to get tested. That's fine. That's your right, but you can't get this job.
That's right.
You can't go to this event. You are not allowed to go to this part of the city.
That's true.
You know, and you know, there's a movie with Justin Timberlake called In Time, where, you know, if you don't have enough time, like time is money in that movie, time is the currency, and if you don't have enough time, you can't go to these parts of the city. There's a checkpoint, and then oh, let me see your papers. Oh, I see here that you didn't have you, you refused the you know, the, you know, and a lot of people are like, ah, fuck it, you know, I want to go see this movie, I want to go see this game, I want to
What's
go
it
do
called?
this thing. Uh, it's called In Time,
In time.
like you know,
Yeah, I see a music
like
video. Hmm.
INTIME.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like a, you know, it's a dystopian kind of future, and everyone has these like tracking brace. Well, it's not even a tracking bracelet. It's like in your skin, and it's literally it's a countdown till you're dead, and so you have to, instead of money, like let's say you want a cup of coffee, it costs you 5 minutes. So like that
Wow.
cup of coffee took 5 minutes off of your life. And what ends up happening is, you know, all the rich people, they have all the time in the world, right? Whereas all of the poor people, like they're living paycheck to paycheck. So like, ah, shit, I only have 40 hours to live, you know, so they have to work 40 hours to get another 40 hours to work another 40 hours. And then you see the poor people running everywhere because they don't have the time to walk around. They don't
Wow.
have the time. They're always trying to work in order to get what they need. And then so a rich guy, he commits suicide, and he gives Justin Timberlake, you know, like years. And so he takes these years to go to this part of the planet that you have to have so much time in order to even get there. It costs like 5 years to get through the last checkpoint, you know?
Wow.
It takes a year to get through the first checkpoint. And then so you're giving up years of your life just to even get to this part of town, this part of the world. And that's where all the casinos are and all the rich people, all the high society. and so then he has to like gamble in order to get more time, in order to like take down the system and shit like that. Meanwhile, all of his friends are dying because like there's no jobs. So therefore, if your time runs out, that's it. If you there's no such thing as poor. If your time runs out and you have no time, it cuts your heart. Your heart stops pumping. Um, but I honestly believe that again, Mockingbird, CIA, Pentagon, talking points in Hollywood, they want all of these things to kind of be like an idea in the back of your mind, where when these things get rolled out, oh yeah, it's just like that movie. Oh
Right.
yeah, I'm
So there's
familiar
a
with
happy
this.
ending to it.
I'm not going to give away the ending,
Okay.
but
No, I'm just saying, but it gives them hope that okay, well, this guy goes through the system, but he somehow is the one guy who can change it. And
well, right, and everyone like more importantly, it's more than that.
mhm,
It's by putting something like that into a film, a Hollywood film, and millions of people see it.
mhm,
Um, when you talk about these things, like I'm doing now, like someone that's not like awake or really kind of critical thinking, they're going to be like, oh, that's like that. That's never going to happen in real life. I mean, that's from a movie.
right.
You're crazy, and you're just talking about something from you got that idea from a movie. Like you're being a child.
Like
And that's
it
why they
can't
put
be
stuff into
real.
the movies.
Like it can't be real because it's in the movies.
It can't be real because it was in a movie.
Right.
That's how a lot of people think.
Yeah.
When I talk about 9/11 and stuff like that, they're like, yeah, I saw that movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. I saw this movie and that movie talking about things like that.
Right.
That like 9/11 in particular. There's an episode of the pilot episode of The Lone Gunman, which was the X-Files spin-off. We have it at DarkDox.com. Is literally about the federal government hijacking an airplane, a commercial airliner, and using remote control, they crashed it into the World Trade Center in order to you know have more draconian policies and establish something similar to the Department of Homeland Security and the Real ID Act and all of these things. And yeah, I mean that's how Hollywood works. Like they put these things out there either before, during, or after the fact to confuse people that like, oh, that's just from a movie. That didn't really happen. You know, a lot of people, a lot of millennials and stuff like now they don't even know anything about 9/11. You ask them like, oh, do you know what 9/11 is? Oh yeah, it was like the terrorist attack on the U.S. and that's all they know. They don't know any of the details. They don't know any of the conspiracy theories. They don't know any of the people involved. They don't know who is in office. I had a millennial like say, yeah, when Obama was in office, 9/11 happened. It's like, no, because again, like they were kids when that happened. We're pushing 40, so like we were at least, I was 18 when that happened. I turned 18. It was my birthday. But a lot of these kids like they have no idea. So like trying to get them to understand the JFK assassination or the Gulf of Tonkin or any of this stuff, MK Ultra, it's so far away from where they are and what they know that it doesn't matter to them. And they've seen so many things from Hollywood about it that they just you know, they take that as the truth, and if you try to tell them something else, they're like, what does it matter anyway? Like, that's history. It's ancient history. It doesn't matter anymore. But they don't realize that it's all part of, they're all puzzle pieces to understanding how things work and why they work and who's involved and what they're doing and how, the mechanics, the architecture of control that we're experiencing. So you know, I think this is a good time to, cut this transmission off from my end anyway. And thanks for having me. Um, because I think it's important for people at this time, if they haven't, go to darkdox.com, DarkDox.com, and research all this stuff. Go to gregfernandezjr.com and look at his research about David Crowley and so many other 9/11 and so many other things that you've been doing, and just continue searching. And I want to see more of you guys doing what we're doing. I want to see more podcasts. I want to see more websites and syndicating what we're doing, and I want to see people trying to call us out and try to debunk us, and we're happy to talk to them, and maybe we might learn, maybe we overlook something because we're not perfect, and but that's why we do these broadcasts, in order to raise awareness and educate. That's all this is about. It's about raising awareness. It's about educating and getting people to learn new things about what's been going on, what is going on, what is going to happen. And you'll see, the more you know about this stuff, you can start to predict things that are going to happen, like David Icke, like Alex Jones, like William Cooper, and so many others. It's just, they put it in the films. It's called predictive programming. They will put all these things in there, and then when it actually happens, if you were paying attention, you know exactly what's going to come next, because it is in their ethos, it's in their belief system to at least give you a hint and tell you what is coming, because it's good sport. That's all part of Satanism. So do your research, and research it again.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here.
You got it, man. You have a great night, sir.
All right, you too. I'm going to shut this down. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and it was always awesome to have everybody on here. Thank you all, and God bless you. Good night.
Good night.